A Sunday, precious Sunday morning for coming here, and I think that's the thing in the youth that we need to highlight. This is the first workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first international workshop on role of youth and young professional on SETI in DRR. SETI over here stands for Science, Engineering, Technology and Innovation, and DRR says Disaster Risk Reduction. This workshop is organized in collaboration with the Institution of Engineers Pakistan, ND University and UNESCO offices in Islamabad and Jakarta. This workshop is an activity of the newly established Youth Forum for Disaster Resiliency on 21st February 2019, called YouInspire. The sole purpose of YouInspire is to motivate, mobilize, and encourage young professionals to use their science, their engineering, technology, and innovation to work for resiliency of the society. YouInspire was firstly initially established by the Indonesians. We have the members of Indonesian YouInspire over here. And now Pakistan is, I'm proud to say that Pakistan is the second country, and NED University and IEB has collaborated in them, and we have established it at the NED University of Engineering and Technology, being the second country. And soon after the launch in Pakistan, we'll be having more launches in every country, inshallah. So without wasting any more time, I would like to request the Honorable Vice Chancellor of NED University of Engineering and Technology, Professor Dr. Sarosh Hashmat Lodi, for his remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My dear young engineers and students, I know how precious a Sunday morning is. Especially for the people living in Karachi, Sunday morning is the time to catch up the sleep debt. And I hate to get up early in the morning on Sundays myself. But anyway, I thought, this particular event is much, much bigger, and the cause is much bigger, so I thought, I should be here to encourage these young boys and girls to participate. Unfortunately, I must admit that we, as a generation, have not done very well when it comes to disaster risk reduction. And we have never, when I was a student, a student of your age, disaster risk reduction never came across to me or to any of my colleagues. It was not part of the curriculum. And it was only after several years that we realized that this is an area where there's a lot that needs to be done. And this kind of thing is not limited to engineering. It should involve everybody. And last year, when Shoaib went to Indonesia for this workshop, we realized that how important it is to engage youth and young boys and girls to do that. And Shoaib came very enthusiastic to start this program, and as long as somebody's taking the responsibility, it's good, and mashallah, it's nice to see everybody here. And there was a launch on was it on Friday? Friday evening, was it?
Yeah.
Friday or Thursday evening? Thursday evening, rather. And it was very well attended. Obviously, the support from UNESCO is very, very important to us. But I have full faith in our youth. And I truly believe that you guys can make a difference. And at times I feel happy, because now we are leaving, people like me who are at the fag end of their careers, are leaving things in the hands of people who are much more competent, much more dedicated, and who are prepared to make a change. That's more important. To me, knowing something is important, but willingness to learn is far more important than knowing it itself. And as long as you're prepared to learn, and as long as you're prepared to learn willingly, then nothing can beat it. So I wish all of you that this is just humble beginning. And I have seen so many initiatives starting in a very small note and ending up as something significant. I must not forget to mention the support from the Institution of Engineers which has been a continued support for many, many years. And I'm sure that this relationship will continue in future also, whatever support that IEP can provide. Obviously, UNESCO is a very important partner in this whole thing, and I'm sure as the time passes, with all your ideas and all your good work, we should be able to fetch more support from other agencies. General Nadeem mentioned a possibility of the support during the launch. General Nadeem heads the National Disaster Management Fund. And so you know, the job of people like me is to actually look around and see wherever the resources are available, to provide networking. It is also pleasant to know that Nepal, so you Inspire will also be launched very soon, and I look forward to that launch also. But I'm sure that this will continue in the other countries. At the same time, it should also become larger in Pakistan. So it should not be limited to an ED university. It should not be limited to the institutions in Karachi. It should spread out to other institutions in the country. And I'm pretty sure that with your good work, we can sell this idea to the others. And I wish you a very good luck during the next couple of hours. And I'm sure you'll enjoy and learn something new. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Lodi. Dear people, it's very important to highlight, as Dr. Sarosh Hashmat Lodi also mentioned, that this forum is not only engineering platform. This is the novelty, in fact, of UNSPIRE is that it is a transdisciplinary forum for resiliency. So, and that is the reason in this workshop we have people from economics department, we have people from engineering, we have people from youth parliament. So we have a mixture of every area to learn about DRR in today's workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, it's very important that we acknowledge the help of Institution of Engineers Pakistan. I now invite Engineer Sohail Bashir Saab, the Chairman of Institution of Engineers Pakistan, Karachi Center, for his remarks.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you, Shoaib. My respected Roger Bellum, very nice to see you in this youth. With your experience in this youth, it's a great thing. Thank you very much for coming and joining us. Dr. Sarosh Lodi, Mr. Raza, and all the colleagues, and especially colleagues Ghazala, and colleagues from Indonesia, from Nepal, and all the young people, not engineers. Okay, I'll have a generalized term. So, Assalamu alaikum. I remember that when Shoaib came back from Indonesia, and he was sitting with Dr. Sarosh, and Dr. Sarosh, I think, called me late in the evening that we would like to have a workshop. Why not IEP join? And I immediately, and he has got all my support, everything, anytime, anywhere. So I told him, yeah, why not? And I'm happy to report that when we launched this workshop, initially we were thinking that we might not get that much response. But slowly and gradually, this started as a fear, and people wanted to join this, but we had certain limitations of the capacity. So just now, before this inaugural session, I discussed with Shoaib, and inshallah, NED and IEP will soon, as a follow-up, will launch this as a national cause, and we will go, as Dr. Sarosh mentioned, to all the universities, not engineering, but every university, and we'll try to disseminate this knowledge, whatever you people will get. You will be, for me, you will be the master trainers for the futuristic training to be carried out in Pakistan. So please pay due attention to the training, because where you have all come here early morning on a Sunday, so you should make utilization of this precious time. And inshallah soon we will be launching this as a national cause with the support of course, UNESCO, so that this disaster reduction issue is very, very important. I remember I was in I have been to Sendai myself, and my son was one of the member of that group which are doing some reconstruction. I think probably at that time Dr. Sarosh was also with me, or we were invited as Institution of Engineers there for the to give a message to the world that everybody is with them. So that, because whenever any catastrophe comes, a simple nation, even if it is a very developed nation, they need some assistance internationally. So, and the important part, which probably General Nadeem mentioned, that people are more willing to help after the disaster, but people are very, very less effective before the disaster. And he mentioned that he asked from the government of Pakistan around some $40 million for the disaster reduction works, but that was not given, and ultimately after the floods of 2011 we end up in spending more than $2 billion. So this is the way. So with this I conclude my talk, and I request all of you to please pay attention and look forward for your continued support for this cause. And Shoaib is the leader of you all in this particular, and we all are the supporters, and inshallah the Institution of Engineers will support you each and everywhere. We have centers in Lahore. We have sent yesterday the chairman of the Lahore Center was here. We have centers in Islamabad, and we also have training rooms, all those things that can be lended to this cause. At Peshawar, at Quetta, we start from Karachi, Hyderabad, Sakkar, Multan, Faisalabad, Lahore, Islamabad, Peshawar, and Quetta. Plus we have international centers in Saudi Arabia, 2 centers, one in Bahrain, and 1 center in Tri-State, New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey. So all these centers are yours for this cause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shoaib Bashir Saab. I think that after his talk, I believe UNSPIRE is not only in Karachi, it is at least at the locations where IP centers exist internationally and nationally. I would now like to request Mr. Raza Shah from UNESCO Office Islamabad to deliver his remarks to all of you.
Assalamu alaikum ji, and good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to be here with you all the young scientists and economists and all other related fields. I'm very glad with all this development that in November there was a regional conference and UNSPIRE Indonesia was launched, and right after, like in 4 months time, we have launched UNSPIRE Pakistan on 21st, and right after 3 days we are having its first workshop. It is great achievement, and credit goes to Dr. Sarosh and Dr. Sohail for their patronage. Now I excuse my international colleagues, I am going to switch to Urdu, right, for all the young participants here. इस चीज को समझने की जरूरत है कि हमने ये इनिशिएटिव लिया क्यों. यूनेस्को जो है वो साइंस, इंजीनियरिंग, टेक्नोलॉजी और इनोवेशन को प्रमोट कर रहा है बहुत से लेवल्स के ऊपर, ठीक है, और यूथ, जेंडर, डीआरआर, ये सब क्रॉस कटिंग थीम्स हैं जो कि हमारे सारे प्रोग्राम्स में होते हैं, ठीक. और इस वक्त अगर आप लोगों को अंदाजा हो कि इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में यूथ की जो पॉपुलेशन है, जो परसेंटेज है, इट इज मोर देन 50%. पाकिस्तान दुनिया के टॉप 10 कंट्रीज में है जहां पे यूथ की पॉपुलेशन बहुत ज्यादा है. इट इज ऑन नंबर 5 राइट आफ्टर यूएस. ये एक बहुत बड़ा पोटेंशियल है कि जिसको हम लोगों ने यूज करना है. आप लोग जब इसके बारे में टेक्स्ट पढ़ना शुरू करेंगे तो उसमें एक टर्म आएगी मिलीनियल्स, उसमें एक टर्म आएगी जनरेशन जी, आप में से बहुत से लोग जो हैं वो मिलीनियल्स हैं और जनरेशन जी से ताल्लुक़ रखते हैं। मिलीनियल्स क्या है? ये मिलीनियम से निकला है जिनकी पैदाइश 1990 के बाद हुई है, और जनरेशन जी वो है जो कि सन 2000 के बाद इनकी पैदाइश हुई है। तो ये वो यंग जनरेशन है, हम चाहते हैं कि उसको हम सही तरह से ट्रेन करें और उनको मैक्सिमम उनके पोटेंशियल के ऊपर जो है वो उनसे जो है उनकी इनपुट्स ली जाएं, ताकि उससे सोसाइटी के अंदर जो है वो बेहतरी पैदा हो सके। अच्छा, अब साइंस, इंजीनियरिंग, टेक्नोलॉजी, इनोवेशन तो इतना बड़े बड़े ये अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, तो उनको तो कवर करना इतना आसान नहीं है। तो उसके लिए हम लोगों ने एक फ्रेमवर्क बना दिया है, ठीक है। बेसिकली सर, टू जस्ट add on what you said, it is not a training, we are not going to train you, ठीक है। हम सिर्फ आपको एक अवेयरनेस देने लगे कि ये क्या प्रोग्राम है और उसके ऊपर आप लोग क्या कर सकते हैं, ये आप लोग बताएंगे। आज दोपहर तक हम आप लोगों से सुनना चाहेंगे कि क्या क्या हो सकता है पाकिस्तान में या एशिया पैसिफिक में या ग्लोबल लेवल पे, क्योंकि जो आइडियाज यंग जनरेशन से आ रहे होते हैं वो आइडियाज हमारे पास नहीं है। जितना अच्छा व्हाट्सएप, फेसबुक और टिकटॉक आप लोग यूज कर रहे होंगे ना, वो हमें नहीं पता होगा कुछ भी, ठीक है। तो बेसिकली टूल्स आर अवेलेबल, हमें देखना है कि उनको किस तरह से मैक्सिमम पॉजिटिव साइड पे उनको यूज किया जाए, स्पेसिफिकली फॉर DRR। यहां पे हम बात कर रहे हैं DRR की। पाकिस्तान के बारे में एक टर्म कुछ सालों पहले निकली थी कि इट इज अ सुपरमार्केट ऑफ डिजास्टर्स। पाकिस्तान में जो है वो अर्थक्वेक्स भी हैं, लैंडस्लाइड्स भी हैं, फ्लड्स भी हैं, इस रीजन में सुनामी भी आ चुका है एक दफा, और क्या चाहिए आपको। और हम लोगों की प्रिपेयर्डनेस बहुत वीक है। हम लोग सरकार पे हमेशा डिपेंड नहीं कर सकते, हम PDMAs, NDMAs की तरफ हर दफा नहीं देख सकते। हमने कम्युनिटीज को इतना प्रिपेयर करना है, हमने खुद अपने आप को इतना प्रिपेयर करना है कि हम देखिए, डिजास्टर तो आएगा, डिजास्टर US में भी आता है, वहां पे भी सैलाब आते हैं, वहां पे भी अर्थक्वेक आते हैं, जो डेवलप्ड नेशंस है वहां पे भी होता है। आपने डिजास्टर से जो लॉस हो रहा है उसको रिड्यूस करना है, जो ह्यूमन लॉस हो रहा है, जो इकोनॉमिक लॉस हो रहा है, उस पे काम करना है। और यस, शोएब इज लाइक he is the one who initiated here in Pakistan, लेकिन लीडर नहीं है। आप सब लीडर हैं, आप सब बराबर हैं। He is more like facilitator. UNESCO is facilitator. हम लोग आपको facilitate करेंगे। तो so it is a platform to share knowledge, to share ideas, और ताकि आप बेहतर से बेहतर चीज़ों को कर सकें। और जिस तरह से आपको बताया अभी सर ने कि अब इंशाल्लाह ये नेपाल में भी अब ये लॉन्च होगा। सो इट इज़ अ चेन रिएक्शन जो कि अब आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जो है वो स्प्रेड करेगा। लाइक Irina was telling me yesterday that now more countries are interested after listening the success story that we really want to launch it now in their countries. So basically in November जब जकार्ता में ये मीटिंग हुई थी तो वहाँ पे 30 मुल्कों से बच्चे आए हुए थे, राइट? तो अब वो लोग भी बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटेड हैं कि अब हम लोग जो है अपने अपने रीजन में या अपने अपने कंट्री में इस प्रोग्राम को लॉन्च करें। मैं ज़्यादा टाइम और नहीं दूंगा, सिर्फ मैं एक थोड़ा सा मैं जिस्ट दूंगा कि आज अभी क्या होने जा रहा है। हम बेसिकली आपको सबसे पहले जो इंटरनेशनल जो एक फ्रेमवर्क अवेलेबल है दैट इज सेंडाई फ्रेमवर्क, उसके बारे में आपको सबसे पहले हमारे टीम मेंबर बताएंगे, क्योंकि ये वो फ्रेमवर्क है, ये वो गाइडलाइन है जिसको सब कंट्रीज ने जो UN की मेंबर स्टेट्स हैं उन्होंने फॉलो करना है, क्योंकि उन्होंने उसको अडॉप्ट किया, उसको एक्सेप्ट किया। और उसके बाद हम आपको एक प्रैक्टिकल एक्सरसाइज करवाएंगे टू हैव बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग अबाउट द सेम थिंग जो सेंडाई के अंदर बात हो रही होगी। उसके बाद आपको हम कुछ केस स्टडीज बताएंगे डिफरेंट कंट्रीज की, जो उनकी अपनी एग्जाम्पल्स होंगे, अपनी लाइफ के जो एक्सपीरियंसेस होंगे वो आपके साथ शेयर करेंगे. कीपिंग द कनेक्शन विद सेंडाई एंड यू इंस्पायर, राइट? और उसके बाद हम एक ब्रेकआउट सेशन करेंगे. हम लोगों ने कुछ प्रिपेयर किए हुए आप लोगों के लिए क्वेश्चंस, कुछ एक्सरसाइजेज हैं जिनसे हम चाहेंगे कि आपसे सुने कि क्या क्या आप लोग हमें आइडियाज बताते हैं. उनसे हम एक रोड मैप डेवलप करेंगे, एक प्लान डेवलप करेंगे कि हमें किस तरह से चीज़ों को लेके चलना है, क्या क्या एक्टिविटीज करनी है, क्या क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, और इस तरह से होगा. तो इंशाल्लाह ये बहुत अच्छा इनिशिएटिव है. और मैं एक दफ़ा फिर शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ डॉक्टर सरोज का और सोहेल साहब का, और विश यू ऑल द लक. थैंक यू.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very renowned professor, Dr. Roger Bilham, with us. I would like to have to request him to share a few remarks from.
Before Roger Bilham, he is a legendary, and I must admit that Dr. Sarosh in the opening session said that he has done a lot for Pakistan, especially related to earthquake. Please give him a big hand.
And he qualifies to be among the youth.
Yeah. I was about to say, I should not be saying anything at all. I can see 50 young faces. They should be speaking and will be. Look, I'm very, very honored to be here. It's largely because of people like Sarosh, who is able to motivate people like you and me. Whenever I speak with him, I feel inspired. I feel I want to go out and do things. And let me just say, I hate meetings like this because I can't do anything. I want to go out. I want to measure things. I want to go off to Quetta and put instruments in the ground because life is too short. And meetings like this take time. So although I've been asked to give a speech, I'm not going to give one. I'm just going to praise you all for being young. There's a saying that youth is wasted on the young, but I know that's not true. You have lots of energy, and what's more, you have so many more machines and computers and techniques and methods to do things than I had when I was your age. So go out and do things. I look forward to hearing what you've already done, and I'm hoping that I can work with some of you on problems. But I am history. You're the future.
Well, these were the most encouraging remarks, I must say. Thank you, Professor Roger, for these. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now formally start with the proceedings of the workshop. But before that, I would like to mention one thing, that yes, it is important over here to learn that I'm not the leader. I'm really not the leader. I'm in fact led by Professor Lodi and Sohail Saab and all of you. Just guide me what you want, and I try my best because I know I have support of the Honorable Vice Chancellor with me. Sir, thank you so much for your support. I would like to invite the first speaker of the workshop, Ms. Irina Rafliana. She's currently the Executive Secretary for the ICIAR Libby. She's also the Public Relations and Cooperation Division Staff at the Research Center for Oceanography, Libby, and her academic background was Bachelor's in Economics and also Master's in Sociology. Irina, it's your time now. You can move around.
Yes.
And this,
Yes.
Just keep it in the pocket.
if you would like to move around, then
Just keep it in the pocket. ये हार पहना दो, हाँ ये ज़्यादा अच्छा है.
Is that okay? Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Good, perfect. How was the sleep last night? And all of the fun you had on Saturday evening, Saturday night. I am Irina Rafliana. Please call me Irina. I work for the Indonesian Institute of Sciences for 19 years. And I can't understand why I'm nervous standing here in front of you on this very, very important occasion. This is a very important milestone. But first of all, I would like to again thank you, Dr. Sharash Lodi, Vice Chancellor of NED, and also Dr. Suhail Bashir, Chairman of IEP, Mr. Raza Shah, UNESCO Islamabad, my dear soulmate, Ibu in Indonesia means ma'am, Ibu Gazalan Naim, Professor Roger Bilham, which I very much look up to, colleagues of NED and also Pakistan Institute of Engineering, and dear friends of Pakistan, you inspire. You're here together with you inspire to be in Nepal. So if you could raise your hand, Kaushal is here to help you as well. So I'm very happy to be here, and we have so much to have in a menu, in a plate. But then last night at 10 p.m. we decided, okay, stop. We'll just start with something very simple. Let's start with disaster risk reduction and Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. With my password. Just a moment. Yep, it's working. First. Okay, it's on. So while we're waiting the projector to be up and running, I would like to also share with you that since 2017, I was also appointed as one of the member of the Global Science and Technology Advisory Group of UNISDR. So we provide advices to the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Risk Reduction. Previously, I was also chair of the task team for disaster preparedness in the Indian Ocean Tsunami Warning System, working together with Ghazala, and also chair of the task team of Inter-ICG Global Tsunami and Undersea Related Hazard Reporting System. So that will be a little bit of a background. My background in sociology is a hobby, because I really like to understand what's behind things that we don't see quite explicitly. Can you put it up?
The IP light is coming.
Okay. So the first session of my talk would be discussing about a global framework of which everyone throughout the world is actually referring to. Why is it important? Because it can actually give us clear guidance and steps, and for us to loosely translate that into our actions. Either you are government officials, you are university students, lecturers, your education practitioners, so on and so forth. So these frameworks are actually developed by a huge amount of effort, and usually after a huge disaster occurs. So if you remember, there is a Kobe earthquake in 1995. Have anyone of you heard about it? Kobe earthquake? It's so immensely devastating that moved everybody throughout the globe to sit down together and agree on a common framework to put an effort to reduce risk, which is then called the Hyogo Framework of Action. At that time, the Hyogo Framework of Action is concentrating basically on hazard. How do we control hazard? The Indian Ocean tsunami as well. In Aceh, as you can also see in this booklet, is also a huge event that also changed the way we see disaster, and it influenced the way we see Hyogo framework of action. And at the end, we have another event as well in 2011, as you probably will know about, the East Japan earthquake and tsunami. So this is actually the backdrop of how an international or global framework is actually developed. I'll just yeah. Plug it.
Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Can someone help me quick? Okay, if you can see here, this is the Kobe earthquake in 1995. And every time in Japan there's a huge disaster, or even not really a huge disaster, a new research center emerged to really understand and appreciate this devastation. And it's quite different with other countries, particularly as I observed in the Asia, of which when you experience a huge disaster, you try to deal with it, move on, but leave behind all of these knowledge, all of these lessons and experiences, and it did not build up the capacity of the country. And we keep on learning from other countries, while in fact our country is actually the source of learning, including the source of disaster itself. So what Japan as a country do is to pick up all of these essential experiences and translate that into a global movement and accept it by the global community, and became first the Yokohama strategy. After it's being reviewed post 1993, then the Hyogo framework for action from 2005 to 2015. In between this phase is the tsunami of Sendai, if you can click Kosha. The Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami in 2011 tell an immensely different story. This is what's been captured, again, by the people of Japan and also the scientists and professionals. This is no longer a single hazard management issue. It's a complex and cascading risk. It involved Fukushima nuclear power plant. It involved people need to be relocated with a very complex process of dialogue. It involves immense investment to build up again the city. It involves all of these different science to understand what really had happened in 2011. So that then translated into the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction that guides now every one of us here today, including others around the globe, to do a better way of managing the risk. If you can click again. This is a bit, it's not intended to be complicated. We just need time to read. So it's not rocket science, very simple, the logic. The logic is to actually look at how we reduce mortality, but not only mortality, but also number of affected people, economic loss, infrastructure, how we can infuse that into national and local disaster risk reduction strategy, international cooperation, and also early warning. And that is actually embedded in the Sustainable Development Goal as an overarching umbrella or framework at the global level. So in implementing Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, pay attention to the 4 priorities that has been immensely discussed. I don't know, if you follow the World Conference in 2015, we intended to finalize it until 8 in the evening, but it continued going on until 10, until midnight, because there's so many discussion and debates about how we're going to set up these priorities. But at the end, we succeeded in setting up 4 priorities. First is understanding the risk, What is the risk? What is the cause of it? What is the science behind it? How do we communicate it? How do we ensure capacities to be able to understand the risk? So on and so forth. Second is investing in disaster risk reduction for resilience. And if we say investing, it's not only putting money, it's also ensuring availability of human resources, availability of capacities, and also other forms of investments in the disaster management funding as well, but also the national development planning, and also down to the level of the communities. In Indonesia, we are now looking at how we ensure investment in DRR are implemented at the village level. I'm sure you also have amazing work in this area. We just need to capture that. And Ghazala and also Reza had worked immensely in this area as well. Source of inspiration and mentor. The third will be strengthening disaster risk governance. Risk governance is not risk government, but includes all of the sectors that needs to be engaged in disaster risk reduction. Therefore, it is so true when Professor Sharosh and also Shoaib said, this is not only about NED. This is about different institutions and disciplines and interacting with many different stakeholders and communities. So that is governance. There's private sector, media, academics, all of these stakeholders need to be together, working hand in hand. So that is defining risk governance. And at the end, priority 4, it's enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and to build back better. Previously, in the Hyogo Framework for Action, we are looking at increasing preparedness. If you feel an earthquake, if there's an earthquake hazard, you need to ensure what community needs to do. You need to ensure community knows where to go. Hence, save lives. But in this new framework, we should think beyond. What kind of imagination should we have when an immense disaster occurs? You lost all of your houses, you lost your family. What is your life going to be after that? Try to have that imagination beforehand and do something about it. So I will have another case study about this. So it's not only about preparedness for effective response until to build back better. So we don't start talking about rehabilitation and reconstruction only after the disaster occurred. No, that's not where science needs to be. And unfortunately, that's how we interpret it until this point. Next, please. So this is a lovely graph that Rio had designed for all of us tonight. So just remember all of these four priorities. Try to write down the key words, and we will discuss it later on. You will have ample time to discuss among all of you around this framework. But at least at this point of time, these are the 4 priorities that are offered by the Sendai Framework for Action that will help guide us in developing our plans in the future and put us in a stronger role as youth and young professionals in disaster risk reduction. Okay, so all of these 4 priorities and the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction is translated by many different entities, as you remember, including the science and technology communities. And science and technology communities are all of you in this room. So there's a specific attention needed to be made by these communities that are acknowledged right after the Sendai Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction in Japan, which was conducted in Geneva. So the first conference on science and technology on the implementation of Sendai Framework was held January 2016. I was also one of the invited speakers in this event. Next. Oh, if you can go back. Yeah. At the end of the conference, it was announced that the science and technology community will work hand in hand using their own sub-platform or roadmap under the Sendai Framework of Disaster Risk Reduction, which is called the Science and Technology Roadmap. And this Science and Technology Roadmap was discussed by hundreds of scientists that attended this conference. And what is amazing that this draft roadmap was presented in this conference by a representative of youth, Moa Hergaard. She is one of the coordinator of the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. So the world is giving space to the youth, to the young generation. You're under spotlight, might as well grab it and make use of it. So that's Moa, and she actually attended the regional workshop that we attended in Shoaib, and also Kaushal attended in Jakarta. She's an amazing person, very humble. Next. Within that conference, there's actually a dedicated session called the Young Scientist Platform on Disaster Risk Reduction. Consists of many different young scientists, young professionals, hand in hand discussing about how they can actually take action. Next, please. And they talk about the Young Scientist Roadmap. So there's already some references. You don't need to work from scratch. Have a look again of this roadmap and put your critical view and say, no, this is not going to work for Pakistan context. Sorry, this is what I think will do best, because that's in your hand. I'm sure we will have more opportunities to discuss the roadmap after this workshop. Can you go before? Okay, so for this roadmap, some key issues are mentioned. For example, mobilize and increase awareness among young scientists, facilitate dialogue, intergenerational, so on and so forth. I think I should speed up my speak.
Yes.
Next. It's also discussed in the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in Cancun, Mexico, and it will be discussed again in a couple of months in May in Geneva, the Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction 2019. And then a dedicated Science and Technology Advisory Group, as I mentioned, is formed by the UNISDR, and Anissa, and also me at the back trying to speak, is in charge, or we have the responsibility to ensure that we fully support youth and young professionals in this area. So that is my job. My job is to return back to UNISDR and report the amazing initiative that you're now going to start proliferating. Next. So these are the working group. There are representatives from different basins, but a dedicated representative from young scientists. And don't worry, you have so many avenues to play with, to connect with. There is the Global Science and Technology Advisory Group. Keep in touch, build dialogue. There is also Science and Technology Partnership that can be registered. MGCY, United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. Young Scientist Roadmap can also be one of the tools. Next. And also, You Inspire is also another very concrete, real, and exciting platform that we can actually use. And friends are all over at least at this point, South Asia and the Pacific. So, yeah, and then we have the launch of Pakistan, You Inspire, so I think we're up and running. The thing is, do you really now confident enough to understand what disaster risk reduction is? Who in this class, in this room, already has some few credits on disaster risk reduction in the course? Anyone? No? Very good. Yes, 1, 2. Are any of you aware of the differences between hazard, risk, vulnerability, capacity? Anyone? Oh, perfect. 1, 2. Great. So since the majority didn't raise their hands, let's just start again with a very, very difficult task, complex. Is it here already? Click. An egg. So this is your first task. It's immensely difficult because you are going to be given an egg.
Are these marked?
Sorry?
No, we have done that, but are these marked?
Yes,
Yeah.
marked. This is marked.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to divide the class into 4, and the difficult task that you are going to do is to save these eggs as if this is a community of a village in one particular area in Pakistan. Because it's going to be thrown upwards, and you cannot crush it. No way. Otherwise, it became a disaster. So every group will be having a specific tools, exactly the same with each group. So it depends on how you're going to exercise your technologies. And You only have 5 minutes to do it. And these 5 minutes is also the same as if we are anticipating the next earthquake. We don't know when it will happen, so you only have 5 minutes. Working group, and there's also another group which consists of Koshan and Sabraza, our experts that had degrees in, tossing eggs. So he's going to implement your knowledge, your technology, and your expertise to make sure these are safe. So we're going to divide it into, do you have some scissors?
How many do you?
So, each group will,
You just explain that.
Yeah.
What is the basic idea?
the basic idea is you're going to give some resources and an egg. The point is, don't break the egg. We're going to toss it. So you decide what you're going to do about it. Same thing. You have Pakistan. Don't break it. Use your technology, wisdom, your expertise, your excitement, enthusiasm in learning about things and save Pakistan. So that is basically the point. How should we divide groups? We need 4.
Can we have 4 groups? And I want like the 4 groups to have this interdisciplinary participants. Okay, all from civil engineering. Please don't go to the same group. Okay, that's our bad habit, so please try to be in a group where you don't know each other before, or at least you have a different discipline, maybe some engineers, some economists, okay, and then you make 4 groups of how many participants do you have? 30, right? So 34. Okay, so 7 or 8 people in a group. Okay, yeah. So I want you first group to come here, maybe this part, and you will be working. Okay, you will be discussing how you are going to put an idea to save that egg. Okay. When I throw it up, that's the earthquake, and that's the egg. It's your community, and you are going to build something that you are going. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. To have a good shuffle around, because mostly friends are sitting together, right? Like mother and daughter are sitting together. I'm not like. What we are going to do is that I'm going to call numbers, right? बल्कि आप लोग नंबर कॉल करेंगे और उसी से आपके ग्रुप का पता चल जाएगा, ठीक है? यहाँ से आप शुरू करेंगे 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. जो आपके नंबर आ रहे हैं आप अपने अपने ग्रुप में खुद अलग होते जाए. एक ग्रुप यहाँ पे आएगा 1, दूसरा ग्रुप उधर होगा, तीसरा ग्रुप यहाँ है, चौथा ग्रुप यहाँ पे है. चलिए यहाँ से स्टार्ट करें. अपना नंबर बोलते जाए.
2, 3,
अपने अपने कॉर्नर पे जाते जाए.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Please move and organize yourself in
खुद
less
करेंगे,
than
खुद
30
करेंगे, खुद
seconds.
करेंगे. आप अपने ग्रुप पे पहुंचे.
Everybody less than 30 seconds, please organize yourself. Thank you.
1 2 3 4. 2 is here. 2 is corner पे. 2 is here.
सारे बंद करेंगे का
विशाल को सेंड पे ले जाओ.
नो वन ना
Number 4 right there.
There's nobody in the one.
ग्रुप नंबर 1 यहाँ पे आ
भाई अपने अपने जो कॉल किए थे, देखिए ये किया इसलिए था कि गुड मिक्स हो जाए. आ जाए, खुद ही आते जाए.
Okay,
we want one more with the number one.
there's one. Okay, every group needs to assign a coordinator, a team leader,
अभी करते हैं.
and please send your team leader to this table to take the materials.
ये क्या है? Four? इतना बड़ा?
You have the leader of group one?
ऐसे कैसे होगा? Some of you can tell me कि कौन सा मैथमेटिक्स था? उधर सिर्फ 2 लोग हैं, 3 लोग। खुशहाल जो 100 लोग।
एकदम सेंटर में आ जाए।
यहाँ से
Leader group two?
आप 4 लोग हो।
Leader.
Group 2 में चले जाएं।
3 लोग वहाँ चले जाओ ग्रुप 2 में।
एक्चुअली देयर
Leader?
इनकी नंबरिंग ही नहीं
You need to decide a leader.
This is maybe we took it.
नहीं बेचारे क्यों? कोई बेचारा नहीं आता।
वहाँ से नंबरिंग पहुँच ही नहीं थी यहाँ तक कि हम आगे नंबरिंग करते हैं।
बोलो।
ओके ऐसे स्प्लिट करते हैं
आप दो यहाँ से इधर आ जाओ।
दिस इज वन
ये सब ग्रुप 2।
ही इज द लीडर फ्रॉम ग्रुप 2
Okay, just stay there
Okay, stay there.
for a moment because we need to equally distribute everyone. Just hold on for a second.
Okay.
Just do the quick counting.
1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 ग्रुप नंबर 2 में 7 लोग वहाँ पे एक चाहिए इधर 7 हैं इधर भी 7 हैं उधर भी 7 हैं ठीक है 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 10 हो गए ठीक है बैलेंस नहीं एक यहाँ 4 में जाते हैं 4 में जाते हैं आप से
एक आपका फर्स्ट
एक ग्रुप 1 में आ जाए एक ग्रुप 2 में चले 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 यहाँ पे जाते हैं सही लेटर एक बंदा ज्यादा ठीक है
बाकी सब हो गए बराबर हो गए। अपना अपना एक ग्रुप लीडर निकाल लें, खुद कर लें। आप आ जाए ग्रुप 3 एक ग्रुप लीडर आ जाए,
कोई ग्रुप कोऑर्डिनेटर
खुद ही यहाँ पे आ जाए, बस आ जाए। ग्रुप 2 से एक आ जाए भाई,
कोई एक आ जाए।
आप में से एक लीडर आ जाए। गुड।
All of the leader,
नहीं
please come forward. Okay, you have 1 cup, you have 1 egg, you have 1 plastic, 1 rope, and also 1 paper tape. Make sure you don't break it before it's being tossed. Okay, there you go. Group what?
Group 2.
Group 2, okay. There you go. This. Group 1.
you'll be going back do something to save the egg okay
Don't start yet. Don't start and don't discuss yet. Just hold on. And group 3. Careful. All of the group are allowed to borrow scissors, but you need to cooperate with other groups. If other groups are still using it, it's late. Is that clear? Okay. Group 4. Group 4. Okay. Group expert. Present. You also have to say.
Please pay attention. Pay attention.
Same resources. Okay. Now, you only have 5 minutes. And then after you do the job, we will announce the time is over. There's going to be an alarm. And then together we're going to walk to the stairways and we're going to toss it and observe. All of you in the group needs to document why do you choose to do such technology or method in saving the egg, and then we will review back. Is that clear enough? Yeah. So let's start from now. You can start.
Just शुरू करें। ग्रुप एक्सपर्ट नहीं इसको यहाँ से कट मार इसके कुछ इसके साथ एक्सपर्ट को बना दिया।
नहीं लगाना चाहिए
Making other people work is no exactly. So let him do and let her try.
कैसे लगे क्या लगे
एक बार मैं भी ट्राई कर लेती हूँ क्या करेंगे Excuse me, can I have
Moderator, time.
Time. 1 more minute. We're going to smash the eggs really hard.
Because I have one question.
Time's up. Stop your work.
All right, the time is up. Good job. The time is over. You need to stop working.
All is good? Perfect. So, all of the group, you need to stop working. Hey, stop.
Disqualified.
Okay. Okay, now everybody, you can also, you can now be seated again. Thank you so much. Please be seated.
Let's sit for a while.
Okay. So what group is this? Group 4. Okay. Group 1? Yeah. Group 2?
Do we have group 2? Group 2 से Tosha.
And what group is this?
Group 4.
2? 4. 4. Okay, 4. Group 3. Come on.
It's a very well organized community.
Oh.
Maybe defense of
Seems like you have a system.
Nice defense system. Okay, group 3. 1, 2. Group 2? Perfect.
This seems to be the
I don't understand why you're protecting the cup but not the egg. What technology is this? Seriously. So this is group 3, right?
Group 2.
Okay, please sit. Listen, have a seat. So we're in a situation where we had already tried to build some capacity, and there's some vulnerability, right? Can you imagine in the egg? And there's some hazard and disaster. So everyone, okay, let's have one discussion, not a stop discussion. Please write down these key words: hazard, okay, second, capacity, hazard, capacity, vulnerability, hazard, capacity, vulnerability, disaster. Fantastic. Okay, stop writing. Now we are going to toss the eggs. While the egg tossing is going on, please build dialogue in your mind. What are these words? What does that have to do as symbolized by this game? So Shoaib, would you do the honor to crush the egg as hard as you can?
Here comes a disaster. I'll be just smashing these eggs. Sorry? Make a video. Make a video.
Video is-
Maybe you can cover them in.
And you have to probably shout out what group that is.
Okay, this is group 1, and let's see what their community, whether it survives or not.
Can group 1 raise your hand? How do you feel?
We're going to be struck by disaster.
Ready?
Do you want to discuss your technology while you develop that?
Oh,
That will
Let the egg break
discuss if
first.
we got safe after this disaster. Otherwise, it's useless to discuss that.
So it's just about the feeling. Okay. Melum, where's Melum? Are you sure these were boiled eggs, right? Yes, sir. Okay. So here comes the disaster.
Oh my God.
Oh, they're going to last that.
Oh, that's volcanic eruption. So this is group 1.
Okay.
You'll get your community back. You need to recover them. Where's group 2? Is this group 2? Your community is sitting just on the mouth of a well. No need to test this for community. Do I really
They
need
have
to?
put their community in the eye of a storm.
Yeah.
That's safe way back.
They live on Makran subduction zone. So what should I do? Okay, still.
Same pressure, by the way. Whoa.
That's the damage. So I'll put your community back to their
बुलावा दे दो मुझे
broken
रहना
house.
Four.
No, this is 4.
अपने opportunist
This is by us, huh? This is 3.
Okay, this is 3.
Where's group 3? So how confident are you? Bridging communities.
The same
More than other
criteria.
groups.
Yeah. So this is
Same
group 3.
magnitude.
This looks so organized. Looks like the defense area of Karachi. Maybe.
Oh, that's a low magnitude disaster, by the way.
I'm very good with the
Huh?
magnitude.
You agree, right?
Yes, sir.
That's a low magnitude
Yes, again.
disaster.
You want to test it again?
No, let it be.
Shape, don't comment.
That's like a flood levy at a place where there's no community. All right.
It's all safe. Community safe.
Safe.
Yeah, feel safe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Our parachute saved
Parachute.
Is that meant to be parachute?
Yeah.
Yeah?
The concept was parachute.
Okay. With parachute with no rope?
Yeah. No. He just broke the rope.
I broke the rope. Oh.
Yep.
Yes. So that's a rope.
Yeah, there's another mitigation measure, the technology.
One more. Yeah, the expert egg.
It seems to be
Community.
It seems to be a kid sitting with an adult seat belt. They didn't use it. It wasn't in their technology.
नहीं.
अब मैं फेंकूं इस तरह?
जैसे मुझे
Up or down?
It's safe. Safe?
Thank God it was boys.
no displacement of community
All right, so you talk about the damages, huh? But we need to review the design.
Yes. So we have, let's just open the eggs and see how it goes. Does anyone hold the scissors?
Scissors? Can you pass on the scissors?
Okay.
So this is group 1. It's completely wrapped inside with plastic. And we'll see how the community survived. Yeah, some broken bones. Concussions. But it's still intact. Okay.
Maybe we give it to the group leaders? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let them eat.
Let them have their breakfast.
शेयर करते हैं वैसे बुरी बात होती है
Group 2? Where was group 2? Okay, group 2.
Please have your prize.
Okay, see, the real game should be a non-boiled egg and thrown like 4 meter high. So in this case, your hazard is more like not really that big in magnitude. Communities is also quite trained a little bit. Still some concussions. So yeah, this is group 2. Can you give to group 2?
Yeah.
And group, this is group 3.
Hey, this.
The community needs to dissect it in order to
reach
Where's group 3?
Okay.
Oh.
Group 4? Ready?
Yes.
What do you think? What do you think the result is?
He.
More safer.
यार ये तो बड़ा अफसोस हो गया यार सवाल ये इनसे हो जाएगा यार इनसे भी तो करो
So, Shoaib as a yeah, it's a huge disaster. So, which group was actually able to save their communities best?
Group one. Group one.
I think yeah. Group 2. Round of applause. You know what? This is what we want to have in every disaster. The feeling of proud, wanting to clap your hands because all of the communities are safe. That is our true homework. That is where science and technology needs to be put. That is why collaboration needs to be made.
Yes.
That is why critical thinking needs to be continuously exercised, and you can never leave your communities. It's not a one-stop game only, so it's continuous work. So, picking up for those keywords, who would like to volunteer and put a sentences as a conclusion? You?
We need to, elaborate these 4 words?
Yep.
Okay. So, when we given the task to, the disaster is going to be happen to that egg, so there was a hazard basically, that this egg is going to drop and the disaster is going to be happen. So that was the hazard with that egg. Next, we were given some stuff. That was our capacity, to build our capacity, to protect this egg. Whatever technology we're going to work, so that we have created the capacity of that community, that how much we're going to protect them in case of disaster. We can say it's sort of a disaster management, that we have evaluated the risk and we have provided some mitigations to minimize the magnitude of that disaster. Then there was a vulnerability, that whatever precautions we have taken, but the results will tell that what would be the impact on that community, and particularly on this egg. And then finally, at the final stage, we got that disaster when Shoaib that put that egg on the, in short, that a disaster happened, whatever the magnitude would be. So in the result, in the combination of all these 4 words, the result will drive that are we able to manage that disaster, and we have created that capability in our community to resist that impact. So that was all around. Thank you.
By far, in all of the interaction I have, that is the most comprehensive conclusion. I'm in awe. I have no hesitations that you can actually speed up with more elevated concepts. We're going to give you now more real, concrete issues and lessons from different countries. And now you can take that words again. Thank you so much for the conclusion. Perfect. But take again those words when you're observing the presentations made by Indonesia, Pakistan, and also Nepal. I think that is about the session. Shoaib or Ghazala, would you like to?
Let's go for the session. Some remarks. Would you like to?
Oh, sure. I think this was an excellent game taught by Irina, and well played by all players, and within such a short time, 5 minutes. And the best thing is that you could be able to understand in the, I think, very, very short time what is hazard, what is vulnerability, what is capacity, and
Disaster.
what is disaster, the Shoaib.
Shoaib is a real
But in fact, I see you all as the capacity of Pakistan and the globe to reduce the disaster risks in future. So this was great exercise, and you played very well, and I'm really proud of you and seeking, more help from you, the innovative ideas and, the courage, the energy to reduce risk in Pakistan and the world. Thank you so much.
So you probably know what hazard, risk, and vulnerability is about. Along with the DRR, we have something DRRR, and that talks about disaster risk reduction, and the third R talks about recovery. So if you see recovery over here would be rebuilding the shells of your egg, which is either impossible or either a very expensive job to do. So rather than having this recovery process after the loss, let's just prepare to have no losses. This is what DRR talks about. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we can just have a casual tea, but I think we will start a discussion, and then when we break out for group, we will have tea over there because the tea is right here in the hall. We don't need to go outside for that. So I think let's save time. I hope you guys are not sleepy. So let's save time. Let's just invest more time because we have the teams over here in learning from them. So Irina, I would like you to continue with the session. Yeah.
So we will have three real issues, real lessons from the ground, from three different countries, as this is actually a really international workshop. And we've been provided by many different insights from many different countries as well. So the first insight will be from Indonesia. And at this point, I would like to share with you the most freshest event that occurred in 2015, which is the tsunami, Palu Donggala tsunami. Actually, it's not only a tsunami that occurred in Palu and Donggala. It's actually a strike slip earthquake that causes not only tsunami but also giant liquefaction that swallows hundreds of lives and also thousands of lives and thousands of homes. Kaushal, if you could kindly to click. Okay, now just want to remind you again about the 4 priority of the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction and reflect that to the case of Indonesia. Remember, the first is understanding risk governance, risk financing, and preparedness for effective response to build back better. So, priority 1, understanding risk. Here's the case from Indonesia. Actually, in Indonesia, the risk perception is so varied, so different, but dominantly less rational and leaning towards more traditional in perceiving risk. Meaning, the science rationale about the possibility of a disaster occurring in the community is not really that strong. Community don't really embrace the idea that in the future there could be a giant event, a huge event that can affect their lives, as much as science would like to communicate this, or would like to ensure this. So there's a clash of rationale actually at the local level. And these are the assessments or the studies that had been done by the National Compass newspaper, concluding that communities don't really accept risk and the awareness is surprisingly still low in Indonesia. As you can see here, 0.6 is Palu. In 2011, 64.7% of the respondents was suggested they don't accept that they're living in a risky area. No, we're not. We're quite safe. So that's the condition. In 2012, 6 years before the tsunami event, there's already a contingency planning invested in Palu. And the contingency planning was so close to the reality. It was imagined by scientists and accommodated by the local government, suggesting a 7.4 Richter scale of earthquake that would affect more than 55,000 communities. Casualties would be around 3,000. What happened in 2018 in the real event? Casualties are 2,000. I think it's more than that at this point. And the magnitude is 7.7. And it really kind of almost mirroring what they have already imagined in the contingency planning. But why? still so many casualties, although you already have your planning. What's going on behind that? So this is a question for every one of us. Next. It doesn't mean that the community does not have local knowledge that can save them. There's actually names that are embedded in their daily lives, in the toponymy, in the places that suggested the event that happened in the past. But community probably do not, again, accept that this can actually happen again in the future, different with the government and communities in Japan, for example, that put up a kind of either statues or infrastructure that shows, be careful, this may happen again in the future. So don't build in this area, so on and so forth. Or even if you go to the hospitals in Sendai, there are blue marks showing the tsunami height. That is the attempt to preserve knowledge, to ensure that communities in the next generation are safe. But it's a different thing in Palu case. Palu name before? Palu name was the original name of Palu is Topalu'e, means the lifted land. It means that Palu accept actually that they have been a huge earthquake in the past. There's also local language for tsunami, local language for liquefaction, nalodo, local language for areas which may have many waters beneath, or the clefted land, beka. So these are already there. But why are these incapable of saving lives in Palu? Next. Then come the modern knowledge that is pretty much different with what the local knowledge is suggesting. For example, the modern knowledge coming in from science suggested that the earthquake in Palu can generate tsunami in 15 to 20 minutes. You will feel strong ground shake and water receding, and then after that there's going to be a tsunami siren that come in, and you need to evacuate once you listen to those sirens. So that is what being trained during the mock drill. But that actually resulted something strangely so differently with what being educated. If you go back again, sorry. So what I'm telling you through the first slides is all of the relevant information and experiences to priority 1, understanding risk. It's a huge, immense homework that doesn't only mean we're doing research, published, and that's it, we understand the risk. But communicating the risk is so complex and not being understood, not being invested in. So that's priority 1 as a flash idea. Next, let's talk about priority 2, risk governance in Palu. So there are so many institutions working together to ensure the effectiveness of the tsunami warning system in Indonesia. At least more than 20 institutions are providing all of their capacities to ensure that warning can take place in time. For example, National Center for Tsunami Warning had already put up seismographs, 170. The dart buoys are actually up but not running. All of them are vandalized or unable to be maintained due to financial challenges as well. Tide gauges, they are not all of the tide gauges are real time. And there's also issues of coordination at the upstream of the warning system, and issues of coordination at the downstream, where the warning information goes out to the communities through National Disaster Management Agency, local government, Ministry of Communication to the community at risk. But this is already invested, and there's issues of governance here in the tsunami warning system. This is only one small example. If you say governance in disaster risk reduction, it could be really wide, but I think, Ghazala, you can actually share later on for the context of Pakistan. Next, issues of risk financing and investment. Next, it doesn't mean that Palu has not been intervened or invested resources before 2018. There's already a seismometer in school program, the Palu Koro Fault Expedition. It's an interdisciplinary expedition done since 2014 until 2018. I was actually here in 2018 March training students in Palu.
We have no imagination whatsoever on the event that will happen a few months after that. We already have warning system in place. We have Indonesian tsunami risk analysis tool called TSUNAMI. You can click easily through online and see the profile of the risk at different districts. Next. The government also have invested heavily on the tsunami warning system. The German government alone invested 50 billion euros, and Indonesian government doubled that investment as well to the implementation of the Indonesian tsunami warning system. And that's only one aspect of DRR in Indonesia. And as you can see here, these are the events that occurred from the time it's launched in 2018. There are actually already more than 13 tsunami events. I think 4 of them are tsunami that causes casualties severely. We need to add more boxes. Priority 4, preparedness for effective response, recovery, and build back better. So if you can click again, this is the response capacity that has been invested, communicated by the risk, that has been coordinated through the governance system, so on and so forth. This is what happened in Palu in 2018. So there's actually an earthquake at 3 p.m. and that foreshock had actually moved communities in Labean village, which contains which preserved the knowledge of the past tsunami, and they remembered and they moved to the hills. One died in this event, but most of the communities went up to the hill. But that was the foreshock, and they are not affected by the tsunami. 3 hours later, at 6 p.m., a strong earthquake then felt. Very, very difficult to stand up, and even to do duck hold and cover, or whatever education are being told. And those who wait the earthquake to stop are those who are washed away by tsunamis. How would you feel educating people by saying, wait for the earthquake to stop, then you can go and evacuate? So that's what actually happened. And at the time the ground shake started, electricity went off, communication went off. The National Tsunami Warning System said, we did our part. The warning system had succeeded, put up in 5 minutes. But yes, 5 minutes outside of the National Tsunami Warning Center, but it did not reach the communities and the local government. Yes, you did meet your KPI, but it did not save lives. So there's a stop press. The stop press at the television was up, but communities outside Palu knows this, not the communities inside Palu and also Donggala who experienced the tsunami. And then, since the tide gauge near the Palu Bay is not online at that time, it was off. The one that can be observed is actually 300 kilometers south from Palu, which suggested 6 centimeters of tsunami, and that's being used by the National Tsunami Warning Center to cancel off the warning. Okay, I think I have one more. Okay, so this the communities then said this must be a hoax tsunami. This is not what we've been taught. This lady in the middle and all of these 3 ladies are those who've been trained in community preparedness in 2012. They joined the mock drill. Her daughter died during the tsunami event, and her daughter is 3 years old at that time. I think that's just a glimpse of, if you click again, this is the impact of the infrastructure by the earthquake and also tsunami. Next, please. Tsunami run-up and flow depth. I'm not going to go into details into this. Warning did not received by the local government. Next. The siren is actually too far from the communities when we try to review it back. Next. This is the gentleman that actually ran once he felt the ground shake. And what he did is run, although he stumbled and he stand up again and run. When he reached around 200 meters, he looked back, the wave is already coming. Next. There. That gentleman is here and he ran towards, where is it? Here. And when he arrived here, he looked back. This had fallen down because this is reclamated. and he stayed here. He took a climb on the television's, how do you call it? Tower. Yeah, next. And then build back better. After going through all of those difficult times and immensely facts, surprising facts, community now needs to build their lives back. What about the housings that are so different with the structure that they have before? They have spaces among neighbors. Now they have to, live in small rooms side by side with a stranger. Children, I'm so sorry to say this, but children hear adults' relation in the evening because it's so easily heard. It's this huge life-changing that we fail to imagine, and that will cause another social issue, social problem that we didn't predict before. And these are the hazard map that was developed post liquefaction and tsunami and also earthquake in Palu. And the government suggests to move away people in the red zone away. How do you move people away? That's their land, their ancestors' land, so on and so forth. It's really not that easy. And you cannot imagine this after you have a disaster. You have to be able to imagine this when you're in this normal condition. Now, today, that is what Priority 4 is about. I think that's about my talk. I'm not sure, yeah. So, Palu is now trying to stand on their feet again. So, please do pray for Palu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Slight changing the plan again. I hope you are totally fine with that because in workshops we can have a flexible timeline. I think we should just go for the tea, grab the cups, and come back to our chairs, and then we'll start listening to the case studies from Nepal. So maybe 5 minutes for grabbing the tea, and be back to the chairs.
We have done
Same to you. Yeah?
traveling to Bangladesh, bringing nothing. No goods. Bangladesh, big size clothes available. No नहीं मौला तो बेकार से ये टोपी ऐसा कस्टमर है ना दुकानदार के कस्टमाइज प्रोडक्ट में आते हैं यार फायदा आप जरा घूम रहे हैं वेरी बढ़िया
There you are. Okay. Is it done yet?
ऐसा कुछ नहीं मैंने कर दिया भाई आप पूछ लो जाके
तो वो हमें सिर्फ वो मिलता है उनका ये है वो मुझे करना पड़ता है क्योंकि मैं सबके साथ बैठती हूँ तो मुझे तो करना ही तो मेरे पास मैं शुरू में एक्टिव हूँ ना रात में मेरे पास आता है ये सब जल्दी अभी करके देना है अभी अब वुमेन का मैंने उनका ग्रुप जब नो को ऐड किया है अब वो पुरानी टीम है इसलिए मैं पहले मैं देखूँ वो कैसे काम करते हैं कैसे यूज़ करते हैं आप लोग ही करते हैं उनके साथ उनको मैनेज करना मेरे बस मैं पीछे पीछे तो वो अगर उनको लीड करना तो वही करें तो बंदे खींचा जाने नहीं कर सकते मुझे कोई मसला नहीं मुझे तो सर ने ऐड करने का बोला मैंने कहा सर मैं एडमिन नहीं मैं कैसे करूँ तो वो भी एडमिन बनो और इनको ऐड करो तो इसलिए मैं एडमिन बनी थी उनको ऐड करने के लिए मुझे उनका वो करना चाहती हूँ
इसको तो लोग फेमिनिन इंजीनियरिंग वो तुम दोनों काम करो जिस जगह प्रोग्राम हो रही है
अपने तरीके से जिस तरह चलना चाहे वो चले किसी और के साथ भी जैसे मैंने कहा कि
अभी तक सुन रही शायद उसको
मैंने तो पहले प्रायोरिटी कह दिया था रात को करना मुझसे शुरू कल आई भी ज़्यादा इसके अलावा वेस्ट भी तो होएगा ना मैंने सर से बोला इन केस हमको कोई नहीं लगता तो हम एटलीस्ट को कर सकते हैं सर ने बोला
वेस्ट क्यों करें ना आधा को वीडियो कम्युनिटी बी अ पॉलिटिशियन
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to disturb your chai, but you can keep the conversations going, but I also want to keep mine going, so because we're a little ahead of time. So, please. Next. Irina, can you forward the slides for me?
Yes.
So, I'm going to be really quick and straightforward, like because I'm from an engineering background and I cannot really dig into. I'm still a student of how we are going to make discussions, but the thing I want to share here is that we recently had a very major earthquake in 2015, and I just want to share one of the works that is done by two young people, and that actually changed something, and added a brick towards resilience. And like this earthquake, because it's a mountainous area and it has major damages only in the hills, in the mountains, and very inaccessible places. And also in terms of, I think how much you are familiar with GIS and stuff, I think we all know as engineers, like this place also it was data scarce. You had the digital, we did not have very good digital data of all the road networks, and people, even it was very poor in where we had settlements, where we had roads, the data was not sufficient. Okay, it was, and there was this damage, and like, because when you are trying to respond for a disaster, okay, you need planning, and you need to know where this is happening, how you are going to reach those places, right? So the thing before this earthquake, Nepal, not only Nepal, I think this all region is very data scarce, and we didn't have any proper data of these roads. And like even when the disaster occurred, and also like you can see the road, the network of roads even near the Kathmandu Valley. So those were the database from the, unfortunately, national authorities. Okay, and it was very old and very slow in updating. And we knew that we were fragile, but so we had done nothing. So recently in 2013, there was this young guy. So I'm just presenting an example, and he was doing his PhD in University of Illinois in USA, and okay, sorry. So I'm being missed from a live video, sorry. So these guys, they came up, because he had seen this similar scenario of very poor response in Haiti in 2018. So he was doing his PhD and he came to Nepal, and he was a Nepali actually, and in 2013 they realized, because 2010 there was this Haiti earthquake, and then they started to build up this data. We need to digitize these roads, all these amenities, and so for the planning we need this data. So they were working on it, and the story goes like, since 2013 they were working, and in 2015 we had a very big disaster. And some portions, like, and then, okay, the story, they are building the database, and again what happened is that when the disaster occurred, it was a case of chaos, and I was also going for the rescue operations response, because it was like a quick disaster. We were safe, and we were going to places with all those food and supplies, whatever we had, because we were going to other places and to serve them. And even I went to a place it's called Saku near Kathmandu, and we went with all the food supplies. It was the second day. We went with all food supplies, and when we went there, what we saw was that the community, it had all the food, but they didn't have tents. We had one full truck of like noodles and all those things to give to them. We took them out during the earthquake, but we didn't have tents because all houses were broken, and there was a problem. So like we didn't know that what was the need of the society, right? So they came up with an idea. I think you're familiar. Can you go next slide? So they came up with this idea of crowdsourcing. So these guys, they set up an office just right outside of the car parking, and they tried to map, okay, online, what's the need in what place. So, and they tried to make it like viral, it's online. So how they are going to do it's you need to submit a report describing what you need in the website, and if you are directly affected or if you know some people who are affected, and then you are providing direct relief work in the field if you are there. So with and also, can you go to the previous slide, Irina? Yeah. So with this map, okay, so we knew what were the needs of what places when we do the geocoding, okay, and we are also building that database, right? So and from this, the response is more efficient, and okay, so so this is actually the power of data, and I think I also want to highlight the power, the efforts you need to do in preparedness. So we lost many lives, maybe, or we lost a lot of things in those 2 or 3, or even it took up to weeks and months before we really found what were the priorities of the communities that where we needed to respond. Lots of trucks they were gone, and those were wasted. So I think so here I want to highlight is that we need we come back to the Sendai framework about identifying and empowering and all those things that we are discussing. So so this is one of the examples of how these young people, they came up with an idea to build this database, and it was really effective. And since if you look at the database of Nepal, the database from OpenStreetMaps, it's open because it's more stronger than the national database. So they are updating it with this. So can you go ahead? So also in the future, this data was being used for other many researches and all other works they are developing. So I just want to highlight just one case of how young people, they initiated initiatives, and other people, they joined, and then this thing grew and grew, and it was one of the very powerful tools that helped in the national recovery process. Okay, so I just want to show you a quick video of what the thing was like. So, yeah. It's okay. You can play from the PowerPoint. Yeah. And just play there. No.
On 25th April, Nepal, home to the Himalayas and some of the friendliest people in the world. On 25th April, Nepal, home to the Himalayas and some of the friendliest people in the world, suffered from a devastating earthquake. The 7.9 magnitude earthquake, the worst one the country had seen in the past 82 years, ended up killing over 8,000 people and injuring more than 17,000. In the aftermath of the earthquake, this vibrant civil society of Nepal jumped into frenzied attempt to start providing relief. So did the government and the international community. One of the key gaps was information and coordination.
We, along with some 8 youths, gathered from of ourselves and went to Saku with some supplies that include mats and medicines. But what we saw there was completely different. The place had adequate amount of medical supplies and were to bring back all the medical supplies we could have. So at that moment, we realized that the correct information of the needs of the people should be assessed first, then taking the relief items there.
This is where quick mapping comes in. QuickMap.org provides a platform where people from the field can tell us about need, whether it's about food, medicine, shelter, or even evacuation. We then route these reports to organizations that are actually providing relief. To actually help them coordinate and plan their activities, we also provide printable and digital maps. These maps are actually from the OpenStreetMap platform, where almost 5,000 volunteers from inside and outside of Nepal have been contributing. And what we do here at KLL is guide them to show them what areas are in most need of map
mapping. I've been using the Ushahidi web platform to map human rights in Nepal for 3 years, and have been closely engaging with the KLL team since the quake. I've been amazed by how the quakemap.org and KLL team has been able to find and connect responding organizations to the people on the ground making reports.
Kathmandu Living Labs is a non-profit organization. It works on open mapping and civic technology. We are creating open map data using OpenStreetMap platform since last few years. Our work has become crucial after this earthquake. This map has served almost like a default map in this crisis. We are working closely with humanitarian OpenStreetMap team. We foresee OpenStreetMap playing an instrumental role when we enter into planning and reconstruction process. KLL is a small team that was not designed to cope with a disaster of this scale. Now, we certainly need to expand our capacity. Our office building has been seriously damaged. We have to relocate our office space immediately. We need to get staff, and we also need more equipment. We believe in the power of the crowd. That is why we are asking for help. Map provides a mirror of the reality. All the funding will be used to better map and bridge the information gap in Nepal's relief and rebuilding.
Okay, so it's one of the examples that where I just wanted to show where we identify a problem, what's there, and where we youth can work together, and that depends on ourselves, right? So we identify the issues by ourselves and do what we can do from our side. And that's where UInspire comes in to support what you want to do. And we are at the back to support and to facilitate, but the idea, the problem, and all the things that are unique to us and that has to be dealt with us. So I don't want to take more time. So you can read in more details and other examples as well. So stay passionate, stay inspired. Thank you.
We now have a speaker from Pakistan, Ms. Ghazala. Let me just introduce her. I don't know much about the technical and professional background of Ms. Ghazala, but I just got to know last night that she was in the army previously. So I wonder how she was so powerful that she got in the army. We would love to listen to your story, but maybe sometime later, but today you need to deliver your talk. So please.
Thank you, Shwed, and thank you so much, Vishal, for making my life easy for this talk. Like you already know now from Vishal's presentation what a youth can do by themselves. When we are not here to guide you. You're guided, you're leaders yourself. So I'm just wondering last night, what is the youth in Pakistan? So there are some statistics, let's go. Look at it. Wow. You can see youth demography in Pakistan's future. I borrowed this slide from Nazaja. 69%. My God. Basically, the people living, they have their age less than 35, 30, we call them, usually, we call them youth. But I think me, Roger, Sarosh Lodi, we are not less than that, the youth. No, just kidding. Being with you guys, we feel like we are still young, but Pakistan is blessed with you guys, with more than 60% of youth. So this is the capacity to be utilized for disaster risk reduction. You know, if even these 60% people, even if they are aware what to do, how to deal with the disaster or emergency situation, I think more than half of the Pakistan is safe. So first of all, you prepare yourself for emergency, for reducing risk to yourself. You can see how many universities, 179 universities are there, and we have 1.27 million students there. So these are the statistics for organized youth. We have a lot of other young people who are not engaged in academia or not enrolled even in schools or colleges. So there are much more capacity we have out of these institutions. So even if for the first instance we are going to tap this resource, like students in universities or schools or colleges, and then I think you are there to engage more youth out of this net. So if you compare it with the international statistics, you can see I just took the same figure of 15 to 30 years of age people. So these are 30%, half and half almost, male and female. So you can imagine how much Pakistan is rich in this resource, and I believe you are there to help us and guide us and give us innovative ideas, out-of-box ideas. We have been doing this DRR thing traditionally, but this is now the age to do it traditionally. Bring some brilliant idea like Kushal and his team and his colleagues are doing. So next please. So these are the agents of change. These people are agents of change all over the globe, and luckily Pakistan has much more good statistics on that. What change we are expecting from you? What are the ways and tools you can bring some change? Next, please. Next. Yeah. Change what? We want to change the scenario from traditional to a new dimension. From the traditional way was what? Was just responding. Now, what do we expect from you? To be prepared. Prepare yourself and prepare others. And that is what disaster risk reduction means. Am I right, Irina? Yeah. So this is disaster risk reduction. You imagine, you conceive the idea of what the hazard is there, what the vulnerabilities, you already learned about that from Irina. And try to reduce those risks, and to reduce those risks even before it happened to be a disaster. So that is the kind of thing we need from you. We seek guidance and leadership from you. Next, please. So, in this situation, what can we do? Only response? Rescue? If somebody stranded like that, like even a kid, or even the whole community. So, what is left to do? Rescue, response, relief, and later on reconstruction. Even not with this kid, you can see what are other things, other elements are there. Their property, infrastructure, even some livelihood sources, you can see on that side. So all these are now at the stake of some help. Somebody is going to come, help, and to get to be rescued and to be revived again. So this is the traditional approach. Mainly we have been doing since quite long, especially in Pakistan. But just now we need something else. Please. Even this is the 2010 flood, if you remember. I'm not talking about right now 2005 earthquake. I'll give you example later. But these are the glimpses of that. You can see what was the condition there. So we were stuck up with this kind of situation, and 20% of Pakistan land were inundated at that time, and you can imagine, millions of people were seeking help. So every single water bottle was very much costly at that time, because we sent these bottles and the Russian through we dropped that from helicopter, and one pack of wheat, I remember one of the deputy commissioner was sharing with me that it is costing around $10, was there for more than $100. And even then, it was not reaching to the needy people. It was lost somewhere else, and even it was ruined by dropping from such a high elevation. So the cost of response and rescue is very high, even the reconstruction. But the cost of risk reduction is not much. So we are seeking some ideas from you. Next, please. This is the preparedness. We have been doing even with the people with the group of the people which are even not considered under the youth. These are primary school kids. They are learning how to combat tsunami. They are learning about what are the natural and official wording of tsunami, how to receive it and how to respond it. They identified the safe evacuation site by this training by themselves in the neighborhood, and they draw their own evacuation map by themselves, which later on we refined through Google Maps and through some GIS techniques. But this is the way of preparedness. Next, please. And then they exercised the tsunami evacuation drill. You can see at the top of the hill, they went by themselves, or they all were small kids, primary school kids. So they are preparing themselves to reduce risk, aiming at risk reduction. So you people are very much, very mental elite of the globe. Engineers, a media person, economists, doctors, and many others. So we need you people. Next, please. Just a little idea. How can this change what we are demanding from you? How can you do it? You can see the social media and the internet and all these things. These are very common, and those were not as strong as today when we had this 2005 earthquake. So just now you can reach 55% of the globe, 7.5, more than 7.5 billion people. 50% of them are connected. So connected through single source. It's very easy to reach out people now. And in Pakistan, the condition is not very much different. Even 40% of the people, they're connected. And you can see how many people are using internet, mobile users. So this is what you are doing every time. It is always in your hand. Social media, mobile phone, So the communication, coordination, this is very essential in disaster risk reduction. Awareness, what Irina said in her talk about the 4 priorities of Sendai framework. So the first one is what?
Reducing risk.
Understanding
risk.
Understanding risk. So here you can do a lot about it. You have the audience in front of you in millions, and a communication tool, so you can do it. So you can devise some very innovative ideas how to reach the people, how to reach the audience, your community for particular risk, and even you can devise and design some ideas of safer construction. More than 70% of Pakistan housing infrastructure is just not engineered. So it is very easy to make not them engineered, but at least semi-engineered. Very, very easy. So I must share one thing, my experience of being involved in 2005 earthquake response, rescue, and then reconstruction. In the beginning, we were just, we were caught unprepared. There was nothing. We don't know what to do. We didn't have even this kind of communication at that time of Android phone, and cellular phone was not, networks were not available in the affected area. And we got international help. We were well supported by other communities and other nations. We had many medical teams up there from US, UK, New Zealand, from anywhere. But the difficulty was they can't speak Urdu, and our people, the affected area, they can't speak English. So there was a very, very huge gap of communication. The teams were just sitting idle. What to do? How to communicate with the people? So we needed some volunteers like you, even younger than you. And they joined us, and they worked as interpreters. For one camp, I remember it was around 700 patients in one day, in outdoor, and 150 inpatient in a camp, in an inpatient facility, and one field hospital. And by the way, I was assisting surgeons, just because I was a female, and there were some social issues that females are not allowed to be treated with the male doctors. So I worked as assistant surgeon at that time, and an interpreter as well. So you can see the small, very, very small issues, but there are big hurdles at that time. So we need your help. We need, not only in response, but in disaster reduction. There were hundreds of students from architecture and engineering background who helped us in reconstruction phase. They came up with a very innovative, cost-effective, and low-carbon footprint, innovative ideas, and they implemented in the field, and they communicated the techniques to the homeowners and the builders, and that was the way we utilized a lot of you. So there are so many stories we can share sometime later. I think we are running out of time. Thank you so much. We are looking forward that you are there to help us in the future.
Thank
Since most of us are based in Karachi, and few of the participants are also from Balochistan, we, especially living the Karachiites, I think don't have an experience of an earthquake. But I remember when in 2005, when we felt tremors in Karachi, I so wish you guys have seen the roads, how much they were crowded, especially the area that is in Gulistan and Jawhar, and the Liaqtabad area, the Liari area, the Bans Road area. All the people, they didn't know what to do, except one thing, rushing out of their houses. And that, in fact, killed a lot of lives.
Yes.
So, we, as a youth, literate youth of Pakistan, need to be activated quickly before a disaster occurs in Pakistan or in Karachi. God forbid if it happens, I'm scared how are we going to restore from that. Just imagine if the Sharai Faisal breaks down from the center. We have no route to go from the north part of the city to the south part of the city. And I think most of the hospitals are in like the Jinnah hospital that we have. So we really need to think about the preparedness of the Karachiites, and this youth spire is basically to spread this message. We are not, last night when we were talking to Irina, she said that we are not here to teach. We need to learn, and now we will learn from you that what do you think, being the youth, are the gaps? What do you think, what do you think is needed? This is what we'll be learning from you guys. We will be learning, not teaching from you guys in the next few minutes. I would like to ask Rio. Rio, will you be playing the teaser, right? So we have a little video clip from Rio from Indonesia.
Untuk bakal mereka cara-cara bagi terkait bakal itu namanya tu pada dia kau mereka dia kita kita pada dah wow orang mereka berkaya dah dia terus kan nanti pemain kaya kaya
masih ada potensi gempa yang sama di baratnya
dari mulai Siberut sampai Batu. Jadi jawabannya iya, masih ada.
Kirasnya gempa itu tsunami itu salah. Makanya kami tidak mengira ada tsunami waktu itu.
Kami bersyukur ya Tuhan, walaupun mengingatkan kami kembali itu, tapi ini menjadi hal yang penting untuk masa depan kami.
Kalau di atas bentuk apapun tetap kita beli, semuanya kita beli. Uang yang kita cari selama kita di sini sampai ke atas habis.
Saya merasa kok salah, saya sebagai buku bencanaan salah, dan juga sebagai orang Mentawai memberikan informasi yang salah ke orang kampung saya. Ini membuat saya sampai sekarang merasa di mana letak salahnya.
So, just the story about tsunami in Mentawai back in 2010. We tried to capture how the scientists and the community and also they interact within each other. There's some misguided information that being disseminated before, and then when the volunteer try to recover the what's it called, the affected people from the tsunami, the people is currently blaming the volunteer because the misguided questions. This is the unique story, I think, but unfortunately I can't play all the details here. You can play it on YouTube. I will give you the link. It's quite interesting, actually. It's so much lesson learned you can get from here. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rio. One thing that Rio did not mention after the video is that he went with a couple of other young professionals, independent, using their own pocket money, and recorded that documentation using handphone. So it's not a highly equipped documentation, and it's a huge struggle because you have to fly 2 hours from Jakarta and then 10 hours by ferry boat to the island. And then you have to find ways to go island hopping and to meet all these people. So that's what Rio did. What should we do now? As Shoaib had mentioned, and also Ghazala had mentioned, it's your turn now. We're learning from you. Please speak out at this particular session. You have post-its in front of you. If you're shy to speak, you can write it down, but otherwise we're going to have a turn from each one. You can use probably a microphone in front of you, and we'll try to capture that. And we will try to pose it as preliminary thoughts towards the science and technology, engineering and innovation roadmap towards disaster risk reduction. Don't worry about these terminologies yet. Just start with thinking, what can you do out of the box, or might as well break the box? What will you do? What can you do in your own capacities? What would you imagine can be changed based on that ideas that you're posing? So take 1 minute to think about, and then after that we will have a round of talk. Everybody have the same opportunity, not more than 2 minutes each. Otherwise, we'll have, we need 2 days workshops. Okay, take your minute, and then we'll get ready to help you.
And just to have a catalyst, we have a catalyst over here. I know it is 1 minute or 2 minute time is a bit less to think about what is needed. So this is the catalyst over here, some gift from the U-Inspire donation friends. Whoever speaks up gets a souvenir for speaking up and contributing to the road construction of the roadmap. So you need to take the notes first. We are giving 2 minutes for making some notes, and then whoever makes the notes and wants to speak can speak and get the tumbler.
I'm just going to type the 2 points that you need to. Sorry. I'm just going to type down the 2 points that you need to consider when we pass the microphone around. Just a minute.
अवेयरनेस होगा तो क्या बनेगा उसका पार्ट है इट्स ऑल अबाउट अवेयरनेस
You are being grave. Burying the patient.
ठीक है वन पर्सन वन चैनल की तरफ ही आता है यहाँ से नहीं आता लोगों को भगाना है क्या करना है हमें बचाना है
What is your perspective? What are the challenges you proceed करते हो at the current situation? दूसरा है what can be your initiative?
So, okay, are we ready now? So, those who have an interesting, it doesn't have to be really complicated, but quite interesting, quite provoking, may have access to these gimmicks, probably. Shall we start from this and then go that way?
Random.
Anyone who wants to go
let's
first?
go random, or this might be the case that the tumblers and all the giveaways are
Okay.
Let's go random.
Okay, name.
My name is Aisha.
You. sure you can use that.
Yeah,
Yes, I have a
you will
mic.
have to switch that
Thank
off.
you.
Switch that off?
Yeah, you will have to switch that off.
This is off.
Someone else's mic is also open then.
No, probably it's heading towards some.
It's fine, I don't need a mic, I can speak.
Oh my goodness. Mashallah.
Okay. So first coming to what can be, what are the challenges in my perspective, though I have joined in the middle of a session, but so far what I have perceived, especially talking about in Pakistan, is the awareness. We don't know the responsible authorities who are looking after, if I talk about myself, I'm a working professional, but still I don't have that awareness that who are actually responsible and what are initiatives that have been done by the government so far. And whether, if specifically talking about Karachi, which is located at the seashore, I am not literally aware that whether we are in that risk or health zone that we probably face the tsunami or any other catastrophe of ocean or earthquake. So the main concern and the main challenge, what I perceive we have so far, is that the awareness and also the government initiative, the authoritative and the operating bodies that are responsible to look after such sort of disasters. These are the things basically that common people are not aware about them. And initiative, I would say that it is correlated with the challenge part, that if a person is aware that how things are being looked after by the local bodies and the government, then definitely that person will try to take part, especially as you said, 60% population is coming as a youth. So they are, I guess, energetic and responsible enough to coordinate it and take part in such sort of activities once they get aware about it. So this is this is my perspective so far.
Thank you, Aisa. Yes, gentlemen with stripes.
So, the main challenge is that that is in our roots also. That is, we are very reactive, and until the things may go wrong, then we realize that we should have done this. We could have taken such preventive measures, but we are in a reactive approach. Either we are working in the professional environment, either we are in the business, either at the government level, civic agencies, everywhere we are very reactive. Second thing is that the initiative which I think I will take, that the first aid trainings, I think we are from there we should start it, from the youngsters, because if the majority is youth in our society, and accidents that are happening on our roads, streets, and other type of casualties, but the first aid training, none have that thing. So these are two things.
You and then.
I would like to start my point with the first key point of yours, understanding risk. So in the case of, if we talk about Pakistan, the major issue we face is a major chunk of our area, of our land, is rural areas. So what we need to do is, so what we can do is equip the people who are traveling frequently into the rural areas. Like for example, we can take an example of the tour service providers, who usually carry a chunk of people to different areas. Like and we can equip them with the knowledge and the need of this knowledge that we can provide them, and the need why this awareness should be spread, as well as if they would be traveling over different areas, so the locals would be indulged in those areas as well. And I would like to propose a solution as well to it, which would be developing an app which would be like similar to integration of an existing app like Kareem and Snapchat. In that case, what we can do is use the Snapchat feature, like the filter feature, and the Kareem feature of that mapping as well. So what we can do is develop an app which, if someone is traveling to different areas and if he finds out that this particular area is very much prone to a disaster, and he can click a picture of that, which could be posted through that app, and some organizations or whoever would like to indulge and work on that can take part of it.
Probably that idea can also link with what's being developed in
Exactly,
Nepal.
exactly. That's
so you
that.
have already now the links and
Exactly.
collaborators.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, you?
Yeah, okay. So when we talk about the main issues about Pakistan is that all the coastal belts, as mentioned by your name, by Mohit, is that we have the local areas. But after working over there for some time now, is that we have local stigmas over there, myths. We have local tribal communities over there, and no matter how good your technology is, even if you take it over there, they're not accepting it. So what we came to the conclusion is that in every local tribal area, there is one person who is heading that tribal area. First thing is to identify that person and then get the message communicated through that person. Because if that person says stand up, everyone is going to stand up. If that person says leave right now, everyone is going to leave that room. So we have excellent minds who come up with brilliant ideas, but we don't get the right medium of communicating to them. So once we know, we identify the right person who can communicate that message, because all the coastal area we're talking about is of, like, we have the Kutchi community over there, we have the fisherman community. In fisherman community we have 2-3 particular communities, and as we have seen it throughout the day, that they're not ready to leave the land of their ancestors. They said that our fathers lived over here, we can even die over here. Why? Because our ancestors were over here. So if we communicate the message, if we try to communicate or educate them with the right person, would be the first approach. And then we have all the technology and the apps working, because once the disaster is going to hit, no FM is going to communicate, no Kareem is going to communicate, no app is going to be working there would be no electricity. But if that person, the head of the tribal community, is educated or equipped with the right resources, that would be the right thing to do in Pakistan when we talk about the local realities of our country. That's it.
Thank you so much for the social perspective on the role of youth. I mean, that's so enriching, and that's so true. Note it down.
Thank you.
You first and then you.
Alishpa here. My challenge was I took idea from Ariana that was built better. So from Pakistan's perspective, once a flood hits, once there's an earthquake, once there's a tsunami, the people stay displaced for a very, very long time, and the government is usually very slow. They take the donations, they don't invest it in the right way. So my initiative or my solution to this would be a platform or a website or an app, whatever, where youth who's unemployed, since there's a big scale of unemployment as well, from a range of disciplines in Pakistan, like engineers, doctors, and communication experts, and everyone who is unemployed and can serve voluntarily, can register themselves, and they can work in places which are affected from floods and tsunamis, and they can help voluntarily to build the places better, build and work with the government. The thing is, they are not organized. We need to bring them up on one platform. There are a lot of people who want to work, but they are at their homes and they want to work. They cannot really go there. They don't know how to go there. They don't know how to reach out and help. So this platform will basically provide them how to reach out and help. So yeah.
Precisely what Ghazala is actually mentioning about the idle capacities of the unemployed. Ghazala, you will actually have a comprehensive analysis after this. I'm just reminding everybody that's also profoundly mentioned by Ghazala. Thank you so much for that. Well noted.
Yeah.
And then?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Nimra Said, local council member IEP. Basically, I think the biggest challenge is the psyche that Pak was said, that this is the biggest enigma of Pakistan, that we always looking for the reactive approach. We are not a very proactive sort of nation. If you're talking about this would be the solution, this would be the solution, but who is gonna be responsible of that situation? Who would be the change agent? Okay, we have that things available,
We can go to the tribal leaders to, give them awareness. But first of all, there is an immediate need to have a platform who are responsible, who carry out the framework, who strategize all sort of plans, and then their implementation, who got a good liaison with government, because government is itself have other priorities too, but our civil society needs to be that much strong that come up to them and say that we are going to implement that. Basically, there is an issue is the responsibility and authority, the ownership. Who will be the owner of that system for the implementation and enforceability of that policies and all sort of corrective actions. So that's the issue. Who would be the responsible, and that's the biggest challenge that we need to find out. We need to find out, or we need to create a platform who are the main responsible to carry out that framework.
Actually, it's a challenge for me to put your comment in one of the priorities because it's overarching, and it's actually talking about you, Inspire. So the next step would be going more in depth into your ideas and how would the You Inspire Pakistan operate. So they can help address all of these issues and challenges. Thank you so much for that.
I think we have someone from the back.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yep. Which one?
Anyone from the back if you would like to contribute?
1 and 2.
As we see the challenge that during the disaster that we pay some cost on the rescue teams for the transportation of doctors and engineers in the needy areas through helicopters. So it is too costly for them. So we have to work something like online portal that would be just reduce the cost, because on the disaster areas we saw the air deficit also in Pakistan. So for the reduction of cost, we can do the online portals for engineers and doctors. Just show the text on their cell phones. Okay, you have to go reach on that area that is needy and nearby doctors and engineers as the increasing literacy rate of Pakistan. So doctors and engineers are common in every areas. So we can do it online system thing something.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for representing the economic aspect. Aspect. The lady in front, and then you. Okay.
I think we should encourage our government to allow people and the city for horizontal growth instead of vertical growth, like buildings, because as Sir Shoaib mentioned, we have multi-story buildings, and that is why due to earthquakes and in hazards and disaster situations, we lead to more casualties. So I think we should go for horizontal, like we should spread the city and we should expand its range. Like for example, Karachi, it is expanding its range. It has gone till Bahria town. So we should encourage people and the government, local authorities for this growth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope then you can have a friend who challenges that idea into a spatial planning concept raised by youth and young professionals, because then you need to have a very strong argument to that as well. But well taken, notes are well taken. Thank you very much. Yes?
This is Maria. One of the major challenges that we face after a disaster is, I guess, the perfect mobilization of resources. This is one of the biggest issues that we face after every disaster. For the solution thing, for the initiative that should be taken is, again, we should establish maps and routes that are most possible routes for the help, for reaching out to the affected areas, for reaching for the access of all the resources like ambulances, doctors, engineers, for all the destructed infrastructure. For the help of those people who are surviving in the affected areas, we have to make all the routes clear to everyone, especially to all the resources, that how to reach those areas perfectly without getting delayed, so that there will be less casualties. and probably less disasters.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, can we go to...
Okay, my name is Heba, and I would like to mention you
Switch on the
mentioned
mic.
about the priority one, that was
Sure.
understanding risk.
Button.
Yeah. So understanding risk is something we could relate with research, and ever since the 2005 earthquake occurred in Pakistan, there has been a lot of research. But what we're lacking right now is the implementation of that, the results that we're getting from the research. We're not implementing them. So we need to have better infrastructure in order to basically, reduce casualties when there is an disaster occurring. So for that, as Nimra said, we need to have a proper association or some foundation that would work for that.
Great idea. Thank you so much for that. Your area in mass communication is also a challenge. How to translate that into how to communicate science. That's precisely what you mean. Thank you so much for that. Yes?
Regarding the implementation, the challenge is again the implementation, and the initiative could be we can have a mandatory clause in the bidding documents that before the bidding in any project, you will have to evaluate the vulnerability of a project. It should be made mandatory through the PEC, Pakistan Engineering Council. So vulnerability would be evaluated before starting any project. So it would be a proactive approach, and implementation would also be.
Yes, you're talking about advocacy work done by this society, this community, to approach and ensure that safe building projects are in place. Oops, thank you so much for that. Yeah. Anyone else from this side? Yes. And then two. And then go to this side.
As it is very difficult to spread awareness in every sort of area regarding every disaster. So I think the first main important point is to first highlight the affecting areas and spread awareness according to that. Like in some areas there is a danger of flood, so we should first spread awareness according to flood, and for different disaster we should spread awareness according to the disasters.
So you're emphasizing we need to prioritize first.
Yes, we have to highlight the affected areas. According to that, we should spread our awareness.
Thank you very much. Just give me how.
Basically, for me, we are living in that society where people are more indulged. Like, okay, let the time come, then we're gonna see what we're gonna do. So I think first we have to prepare people for their mental growth. We have to do that. That they should encourage themselves by themselves. Like they have to pull themselves up. Okay, we're gonna do this, and what if the time comes? We should not wait for the time to come to us. Like we should be prepared for it, and for that, I think there should be yourself changing. So first we have to work on ourselves, then we can go towards government and everything else, and like the sessions and stuff. So I think the sessions and the awareness, there are many channels like youth especially spend half of their time YouTubing. Okay, so there is this compulsory ad which you cannot skip. There should be a chance that there should be such ads where you can create a mental growth that okay, you should first see this, like guide them towards that lane, guide them towards that path. There are many serious things that you should consider which are in your surroundings, but we don't let them come to us because it's not happening to us. So I think for me it's like your self-growth first, how you want to improve, and then we can go towards these sessions and governments and everything else. So that's what my point is.
As an ambassador.
Yeah, exactly. So first you have to maintain what your priority is and what you should do.
Thank you so much for that. I'm looking forward for that YouTube ad.
Yeah.
Happening. Thanks so much. Yes, and then after that we're going to go. So just
Okay, one or two again.
one or two again.
One point only.
Can we start with that? And then three. One from that and two from here.
Okay, another disaster, another challenge that we face, the biggest challenge is the infrastructure destruction, of course. So there are specialized fields like earthquake engineering where there are proper researches that are conducted by the engineers that what areas are majorly under risk of getting affected by the disasters. So the infrastructures of those dangerous areas should be done according to the risks of those areas, so that when an unexpected disaster hits the city or hits the region, then the crises are minimum. The infrastructure crises are minimum. So the infrastructure of those dangerous areas should be made accordingly.
Thank you so much. That will also collaborate with your idea on expanding the city, and what kind of infrastructure would you suggest? You have a partner now to discuss. Thanks so much. Yes?
My point is that most of the people, they doesn't know the first aid thing. Like, the simple thing, mouth-to-mouth breathing, what we have to do at the spot. Most of the people are not aware of simple things, like, as I said, mouth-to-mouth breathing. And second thing, rehabilitation and giving an optimistic approach to the people, because people always say, why me, why us, that this disaster has happened to us. We have to give an optimistic and rooting up behavior to the person. That there are a lot of things have been done in rehabilitation. Once you have lost your any body, tissue or organ, something, there are so many things that people, they don't know, and they just say, oh, just luck and we can't do anything. There are a lot of work has been done in rehabilitation and artificial, organs. So we have to give optimistic approach to the people, and what can be done. We have to improve the rehabilitation, because much work has not been done on rehabilitation, and people who live in our society, they give the thing to the luck. It has done, nothing can be done. No, we have to give a positive and encouraging approach to the people, and everybody, medical, non-medical, engineer, non-engineer, must know the simple things of first aid things. That should be on the top list.
Right. Thank you so much. We already now have the second opinion about mentality. Boosting optimism. You have a partner to work with now. Fantastic. So, and through simple actions that can be done. Then you can expand your ideas. How are you going to go about that? Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay.
Last one.
The last one. So one core important thing which I have realized, and if we look into all the disasters we have faced in the recent years, buildings getting collapsed, a small disaster coming in, and then when we look into the details, we find that the problem was that initial time there was a lot of corruption involved, so right measures were not taken. So we as the engineers need to start spreading out these messages that these are the certain local measures or the authorities which certifications should be there while you go and buy those areas. So high rises, as you all have mentioned, cannot be stopped. We are in a metropolitan city, because no matter how good we are in this room, our country or our city will always have those people who want to make more and more money. We should look into the realities, and the realities tell us that there would be high rises. Now when there are high rises, then we need to take the right measures when the building is being built in the right first place. And if we look into all the bridges getting collapsed, the buildings getting collapsed, every single time we saw that there was corruption. The money which was for that particular place was not invested in the project itself. So we need to have those certified bodies looking after it, and then certain maintenance bodies. We should be there, and then the public should be aware of those particular certifications. For instance, this cup, there has to be a certification that can be used by humans. So if we people in this room start spreading out this message that these are the certain specifications which you should look into before getting into anything, so I guess we would be in a better shape then.
Thank you so much. You're addressing the root cause of disaster that tend to be overlooked. People are looking at hazard, vulnerability, so on and so forth, but corruption.
It's the reality.
Education is the foundation of the entire problem. So if you're going to target that through advocacy, you need to then build this platform, this You Inspire, to have this access to these political processes. So that's amazing. Thank you so much. I know we want everybody to speak up, time does not allow us, unfortunately, but can we give a round of applause for everyone? Thank you so much. I don't think we have too much time.
You can just conclude all the inputs in like few minutes. But now we would like to Rio to talk a bit about the inspiring analysis.
Yes. Yes, so Rio will give some examples. So my concluding word would be all of your ideas, some are easily boxed into different priorities, some are really overarching, some are really genuinely new that we're confused on where to put it. And that's always the limitation of being too technical, being an engineer. But then please take this and move forward into a more concrete roadmap and action plan. Thank you so much.
My name is Rio, as Rina has mentioned. I'm from Inspire Indonesia. I'm not here, again, I'm not here to teach you all. I'm just trying to share what Inspire Indonesia has done before. Rina? Okay, Indonesia. Everybody know who knows Indonesia?
Bali. Bali.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows. Okay, nice.
Bali. It's even a travel destination now.
Okay. This one, the beach is beautiful, of course. It's a pink beach in Flores. And then we have underwater scenery, also good. There's also a lake in the mountain. And then also we have the mountain. But there's also the peace behind the beauty. There is this one. What is this? This is the recorded earthquake from 1900 until 2007. As you can see here, from this part, it's all covered with earthquake because it's also during a fire. Next, Mary. Okay. The first one, just static, is the animation of what's happening in this area. As you can see, it's quite. It has so much earthquake. Okay. Next. So, you inspire. What is you inspire? You inspire is a young and youth professionals on innovation, science, and technology platform for resiliency. Next. Here's our vision: fostering Indonesian youth and young professionals as the generator of innovation in science, engineering, and technology for disaster resilience at national and global level. Why we need you inspire actually in Indonesia, because as you see at the previous slide, we live in geographical settings that we are prone to so many disasters. You know, not just earthquake, but tsunami, drought also, and then there's forest fire, and then so on and so forth. This is how we all got started. It's started at 28th March, I think, in UNESCO office Jakarta. We don't have the You Inspire name at the time. We just gathered around thinking on what we should do, what would we do, and we just discussing around. Next. And after the meeting, we got back to our own cities because everybody's scattered in so many different places in Indonesia. The challenges are communication. We cannot meet in one place at so many times. We just, as you know, scatter around. It's because Indonesia is so many island, and we don't have what is it called, an office. So we create our own office. Next, Medina. Okay. After the UNESCO meeting at the UNESCO office, we got challenged. The UNESCO and Indonesia Institute of Science challenged us, the participant of the meeting, to create a regional workshop. It's Asia Pacific workshop on city and DRR. As you may know, we scattered and we cannot meet in one places. So we tried to accept the challenge, and we did. We create the challenge. We make the meeting happen. And there's Shuaib and Kaushal is here too. Next. Yeah, we did. Okay, next. Next. Here's some scenery of what the meeting is look like, what the workshop is look like. Next. Next. We try to make it as comfortable as we can. We can sit around on the floor, just discussing, not teaching. Next. And then, who's that? Oh, that's me. Yeah, everybody has presented their own findings with their own way. So we got some diverse results of what the participant wants to do. Next. So how do we communicate? Next. Next. We get two platform. We use two tools. First one is a Slack, and then the Slack is, I don't know, maybe it's not too real famous in Indonesia, so we moved to WhatsApp. The first time the group is just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups, and then it's growing to, I don't know, there's so much group. After this, this is how we communicate until now, actually. We create our virtual office over cloud to connect with each member every time there's important things to share or some collaboration that we want to do next. Next slide, please. And LDRR, LDR and DRR, long distance relationship. We combine it, it's LDRR. So, how's it look? Okay, we conduct Skype meetings. This one is the farthest island in Indonesia. He lives in the farthest island of Indonesia. And then we got Susi, he currently lives in Singapore. And then we got Risha, she lives somewhere in about 6 hours from Jakarta. Next. Now, yeah, just something like it. Something like this. We create how we communicate with the scattered member. Next. Yeah. So, what have we done? What have we did? There's several important, not important. There's several disaster in previous timeline. It's not too far from this time. In 2018, there's a Lombok earthquake, and then there's earthquake and tsunami, and also liquefaction at Palu. And after that, it's tsunami at Sunda Strait. We create tools to disseminate to the community. We call that a fact sheet. It's collaborate between all, not all, several units I remember, and it reviewed by the scientists. So we can prove that the content is real, not what we trying to simplify it without reviewed by the scientists. Next, please. And then also documentaries. As before, the documentaries about the tsunami at Mentawai, and I recorded also the earthquake at Lombok, and also at Palu also. Next. And then we have educational trip. This is Lembang Fault educational trip. We collaborate with some, what we call the travel agencies or something like that. It's connected within the Instagram. They showed some beautiful places that nobody knows about it, and then we asked some professor from Indonesian Science Institute of Science to go to the fault, because he knows about the condition at the Lembang Fault, and yeah, this is one of our collaboration. Next. And then there's advocacy going on after we try to make the fact sheets, some educational trip, some movie, and then this advocacy work group in Youth for Indonesia is trying to bring it to the top level officials. Next. Another collaboration is a mapping. We did a mapping back in Lombok to try to help the national disaster management agencies, because at the time the agencies only used, the JF Phantom. We bring our UAV to try work things done faster, and during our 4-day missions, we map about 5,000 hectares. Next. Now, this is another teaser of the my findings about about an earthquake in Lombok. There's an interesting story about the youth that manage the camp, manage the shelter. The interesting part is all the youth is managing the shelter, while the parents is back at the house trying to clean up the debris. Next slide. Next.
Belum ada dari segi disentuh sama pemerintah kan, cuman ide dari kita aja, nggak pernah ada yang ngajarin gitu-gitu kan, cuman mana yang bisa kita buat ya kita buat.
Ya termasuk bisa dikatakan mungkin sedikit tidak percaya, namun orang tua pun istilahnya tidak mengangkat tangan, tidak mampu istilahnya membagi tugas berperan.
Kita juga kalau di pemerintahan kadang diremehkan oleh apa namanya pemerintahan terkait karena kita kan mungkin dianggap main-main karena apa kita sebagai awam muda.
So in 2019, we tried to conduct some project and event and also collaboration. Next, the nearest one is a hackathon. It's on 2nd of March 2019. We try to connect this with International Open Data Day. What we're trying to capture or gather the idea is the usage of the disaster data. Is it transparent or not? And the participant will create something from it. Next. Yeah. Or we can make something else between Indonesia and Pakistan. Okay. Thank you.
So this was Rio, a member of UNSPA Indonesia. He shared the stories of how Indonesian youth are trying to serve the society and make it resilient by their own initiatives and their own service voluntarily. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to just share the structure of the UNSPIRE about how you guys can contribute. UNSPIRE initially is going to be an informal platform because trust me, the reason we are speeding up, the reason UNSPIRE is growing so rapidly around the globe is that it's informal. We talk over the WhatsApp groups, we just rush to the meetings on Skype. No one is like required to come to the office every time. We are just sitting in our cars and connected to the Skype meeting all around the world. This is what is growing is the UNSPIRE worldwide rapidly. So it's going to be an informal platform over here in Pakistan as well. And the contact information right now is available on the website, which was inaugurated on the night of 21st February. So it's basically right now it's a Facebook page and a website which is uinspire.ned.uet.edu.pk hosted by the NED University, and it is important to thank NED University for sharing their official domain for this UInspire. Now on this website you are all welcomed, very much welcome to share your ideas, put down your experiences, and most importantly your expertise. UInspire is not led by me. I just want to make this point very clear. It's very, very important. I don't want to give the impression that I'm the leader of the UInspire. No way. Mr. Raza Shah made you guys clear, made this thing very much clear in the beginning. I'm not the leader. I'm no one to call myself a leader. I am just going to be managing this stuff around. So you'll be sharing your expertise, and since we have your attendance records over here, so we'll be just giving you a report of this workshop, from which you can follow up with the UInspire activities later on. Now this is from the UInspire Pakistan. After UInspire Pakistan, we have some commitments on the Asia Pacific levels. Like UNSPIRE Indonesia has made some commitments, and in the same way, after a few days of establishment, UNSPIRE Pakistan will be having some commitments, and Nepal maybe in a month or two will be having some commitments. So these are the commitments that are going to be coming up on Asia Pacific level, the region, posted on the websites with a good database and people who are going to put their information over there with their expertise, experiences. I think they are going to be loyal and they're going to be dedicated with the courage of volunteering. That's very important. As one of the outcome of this workshop, which is organized by IEP, NED, most importantly UNESCO, and the UNSPIRE Nation team, the outcome of this workshop as a way forward will be posted very soon on the website, through which you guys will be like taking the way ahead. And yes, please do not forget to spread the word and invite all the people in your community having sincere courage of volunteership. That's the main part, because that is the workforce of UNSPIRE. So spread the word in your network and bring more people and try to help us in growing UNSPIRE Pakistan big, effective, and actionable, most importantly. So that's all from my side. I would now like to request Mr. Raza Shah from UNESCO Office, Islamabad, to share some remarks from the center.
So, how was your experience?
It was good. It was good.
If I say that please rate it, like 1 is the worst and 10 is the highest, or maybe 5 is the highest, where you rate it?
4.4.
5? 5 is not possible. Nothing is perfect. 4? Okay. तो कुछ ना कुछ आज सीख के घर जा रहे हैं, कोई नई बात सीखी. हमेशा याद रखें कि जिंदगी का एक असूल बना लें कि कोई भी जो है ना, आप कभी भी सब कुछ नहीं सीख सकते. और एक टर्म यूज करते हैं कि जी वी आर लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्नर्स. ठीक है, रोज सुबह जब घर से निकल रहे हैं ना, तो जहन में रखें कि कुछ सीख के घर आएंगे. ठीक है, और वो कोई PhD स्कॉलर जो है ना, वो किसी छाबड़ी वाले से भी कुछ सीख सकता है. आपको नहीं पता, जो गाँव के सियाने होते थे ना पहले जमाने में, वो बिल्कुल अनपढ़ होते थे, लेकिन पूरा गांव उनके पास आता था मशवरा करने के लिए कि जी ये काम कैसे होगा.
आज भी यही होता है.
बिल्कुल है, लेकिन चीजें बदल गई हैं, कुछ रिवायतें बदल गई हैं, हमारे सोचने के तरीके कार बदल गए, रिस्पेक्ट के वो लेवल नहीं रहे. गूगल जो है वो हमारा ज़्यादा बेहतर साथी है. हमारे फ़ोन के कैलेंडर जो है वो हमें ज़्यादा हेल्प कर रहे होते हैं बजाय इसके कि हम कुछ सोचें. जमा तफरीक हम अपने जहन से नहीं करते, हम कैलकुलेटर से कर रहे होते हैं. ठीक है, हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा रिलाय करना शुरू हो गए, जिसकी वजह से हमने उस तरह से अपनी जो थी ना, जो क्या कहना चाहिए, जो सलाहियत थी, उसको यूटिलाइज करना हमने छोड़ दिया. I congratulate NED University, UNSPIRE Pakistan, UNSPIRE Indonesia, and I can say UNSPIRE Nepal as well, to support us in organizing this workshop. And inshallah, we'll have more workshops in future. Wherever we will find any opportunity, we will try to bring this group plus more members in it. And whatever you have learned, please communicate it to your friends, to your siblings, so that there will be more interest developed. So ये basically 1-2 दिन की चीज़ नहीं है कि ये हो जाएगा. इसमें शायद कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं कि जिन्होंने अपनी जिंदगियां लगा दी हैं और वो अभी भी उस तरह से अचीव नहीं कर सके कि जहाँ होना चाहिए था. तो ये तो जितना इसमें काम करेंगे वो उसको जो है ना वो बढ़ा रहा है ओवरऑल अवेयरनेस रेजिंग को बढ़ा रहा है वो। तो इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि बहुत ज़्यादा ही किया जाए, आप छोटा सा भी काम कर सकते हो, ज़रूर करें। एक छोटा सा कोई आइडिया आपको मिलता है, जस्ट पोस्ट इट ऑन फेसबुक, जो यू इंस्पायर पाकिस्तान का पेज है, उसके ऊपर पोस्ट कर दो उस आइडिया को कि जी इस काम के लिए इसको ऐसे होना चाहिए, ठीक है। लाइक मैं 2-3 मिसालें देता हूँ कि सुनामी एवैक्यूएशन की बात कर लेते हैं। कराची जो है ये बेसिकली सुनामी प्रोन एरिया है, ठीक है। कराची की पॉपुलेशन कितनी है, आइडिया है किसी को?
सर ऑफिशियल अनऑफिशियल
कुछ भी बता दो।
नहीं कराची की है
30 मिलियन आई है,
2 करोड़ 28-27 मिलियन
2 करोड़
2 करोड़ 70 लाख
रफली 2 करोड़
बहुत
बड़ी आबादी है। आप में से कोई था नहीं, आप में से कोई भी शायद ना हो, जब अभी जो एक कॉन्फ्रेंस बहुत बड़ी खत्म हुई है एनईटी यूनिवर्सिटी की, इट वाज अबाउट अर्थक्वेक इंजीनियरिंग। उसमें सरोज साहब ने एक छोटी सी बात की थी जो वो मेयर साहब को बता रहे थे कि खुदा ना ख्वास्ता अगर यहाँ पे अर्थक्वेक आ गया ना तो यहाँ पे इतनी अमवात होंगी कि यहाँ पे जमीन कम पड़ जाएगी लोगों को दफनाने के लिए। जस्ट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द ग्रेविटी ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम कि ये कितना बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, क्योंकि हम लोग एक बिल्डिंग कोड होता है, जो इंजीनियर्स हैं उनको पता होगा कि यहाँ पे जो बिल्डिंग्स बनती हैं वो बिल्डिंग कोड को फॉलो नहीं कर रहे होते, वो सारे ठेकेदार बना रहे होते और बस वो बने जा रही हैं बिल्डिंग्स। तो कोई अगर बड़ा अर्थक्वेक आ जाता है तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा अलमिया होगा। तो आप लोग, मैं फिर उसी बात पे आऊँगा कि छोटी सी छोटी चीज़, कोई छोटी सी इंटरवेंशन आपकी बहुत अच्छी, अगर किसी को शायरी का शौक हो तो वो 2 शेर लिख दे, ठीक है, ये भी चलेगा। कोई किसी को गाने लिखने का शौक है वो लिख दे, किसी को गाने गाने का शौक है जरूर करे। आजकल वीलॉग चल रहा है, सारे अपनी वीडियोस बना रहे होते, अच्छे मैसेजेस रिकॉर्ड करें अवेयरनेस रेजिंग के लिए और उसको पोस्ट करें, उसको फेसबुक पे लेके टू स्टार्ट विद, ठीक है। और फिर बहुत टेक्निकल चीजें भी हैं कि कॉम्प्लेक्स साइंटिफिक आइडियाज और सॉल्यूशंस को हाउ वी कैन ट्रांसलेट देम इनटू वेरी सिंपल थिंग जो कि एक लेमैन को समझ में आता, ठीक है। और ये काम आप लोगों ने अपने घरों से शुरू करना है, ठीक। इसकी प्रैक्टिस सबसे पहले आप अपने घर से करें कि जी अर्थक्वेक आएगा तो हम क्या करेंगे, ठीक है। कि आपने डक करना है, आपने कवर करना है, आपने निकलना कहां से, सबसे पहले अपने घर से शुरू करें। खुदा ना ख्वास्ता सुनामी आएगा तो क्या करेंगे, आग लग जाएगी तो क्या करेंगे। तो मैं और टाइम नहीं दूंगा, ये तो मैं ऐसा बात करता रहूं तो ये तो खत्म ही ना हो। तो आप लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, आप लोगों ने वक्त निकाला, छुट्टी के दिन आप लोग आए और इंशाल्लाह हम लोग आपसे राब्ते में रहेंगे और इस काम को आगे लेके चलेंगे आप सब लोगों के ताउन से। शुक्रिया।
One question: do all of us believe to be you inspire Pakistan?
Yes.
All of you?
Yes.
Then we have a challenge right away. We need to have a group photograph in this room, and I'm not sure how we are going to add it.
Oh, we can do it over here.
We can do it here. Okay.
Yeah.
The idea is that what we can do, I like that. Picture will be taken maybe from there. Do we have Zoom?
You have Zoom lens,
Of
right?
that level. Then just put chairs here, and all the ladies will be sitting in the front, and all the boys will be sitting.
I guess one idea which we have already done over here is that since it's an informal, you said it, we can have all the people gathered over there, and the one who is the tallest can use one of the chair and take a good selfie over there. That's the only thing which comes. वरना जितनी भी हमने यहाँ pictures लिए ना, all the laptops come over here. वरना फिर ये है कि हम सब यहाँ बीच में खड़े होंगे, ऊपर हॉल में चले नहीं, हम यहाँ बीच में खड़े होंगे और वहाँ से कोई खड़े होके एक पिक्चर लेगा. This is the only space which you have over here.
हमारे पास Zoom lens है, वो वहाँ से भी खड़े होके पिक्चर ले सकते हैं.
Okay.
Then we need a middleman. वहाँ पे we have a lot of.
मैं पूछ के आ जाऊँ सिकंदर से ऊपर का
This is
अवेलेबल है
it.
ना.
We have Zoom lens. सिर्फ इस तरफ आ जाए सारे
बस
So
ठीक
females can sit over
नहीं
there.
नहीं सिर्फ बैठाओ ये ना फिर वो सही कह रहे हैं लैपटॉप आ जाए
Okay, then everybody is
आ जाए सारे आ जाए
बन जाएगा तो which we have been the third layer.
एक स्टेप यहाँ पर लेके फॉलो कर लो नहीं वो
And then come over there.
So
आए थोड़े से इस तरफ भी आए थोड़ा सा हिम्मत करें खुद ही समझने चीज को और इम्प्रोवाइज करना है वो हो जाएगा वो लड़के हो जाएंगे सारे
Guys.
Can you please stop? Yeah, sure.
You should be in the center.
Tighter,
It's
tighter.
better if you come in the
Straight.
center.
From the background will be change the exposure. Both faces.
So no. Thank you. That's another.
Trust me.
But we need you to be in the picture as well.
Yeah. We cannot see it. So,
Guys, tighter, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Tighter.
Tighter?
Yes.
Should I get more? We need. Can we get more, a little more compact?
रेहान ये थोड़ी सी स्टैंडिंग बाहर निकालें क्या सब ये यूएस का लोगो दे सकते हैं बीच में Can you put it like this? Or maybe
Is it or hold it?
You have more space.
Yeah.
Maybe the people at the back can hold this.
Yeah.
Someone from the back.
नहीं नहीं आगे भी ठीक है
आगे भी ठीक है पीछे छुप जाएंगे
हाँ यूं पे पकड़ लो तो ठीक है
So I'll just can I sit down?
So how is it?
Yeah, please.
Keep your slot as well.
Yeah?
Do you make sure you are getting this standing covered?
Wait.
These are videographer.
Wait.
The eye part of it.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
1, 2. One more, wait. One move.
वो मैंने बंदा
Hold your
बुलाया था
breath.
वो मैंने वीडियो को मैंने लेके आया था तस्वीर में
हाँ हम एक
पता नहीं कहाँ चला गया
आप लोग यूँ रहिए मैं देख के आता हूँ ये शायद साहब एक नजर मार लेंगे आप तो
Ready? 1, 2. Freestyle! Okay.
Just one solo.
Selfie.
No, but we need Rio in the group picture, so we need someone from outside.
Can I take?
No. We also need you.
Freestyle, guys.
No.
Behind
This
me.
is the fun part of being informed.
Yes.
Ready? 1, 2. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So this was an applause for your own contribution for the Inspire. We'll be taking your commitment, your recommendations, and jotting out a roadmap for Inspire Pakistan in the evening. And yes, we forgot to give these tumblers.
Yeah.
So I've grabbed some more tumblers. I would suggest that people who know me, who were in the inauguration, have already got the shirts. And we have some new participants for today's workshop. For those who haven't got any tumbler earlier, can grab any of their choice from here. Is that okay?
It's up to you.
Yeah, I think that will be okay. Should be. So you can take one, please. You were not there in the in the workshop.
Please.
Okay. Very much needed because it's going to be summers now. Yeah.
These are from Inspire Indonesia.
And these souvenirs are from Inspire Indonesia, maybe because we never forget them. We should never forget Inspire Indonesia. And you don't have to forget Inspire Pakistan as well.
Yes.
So get it for all the people of Inspire Indonesia. This was for Rahma, for Liza, for everybody in Indonesia, for Pakardito. Shah Sahab, we need an applause for Pakardito as well. Thank you so much for coming. Now, all of you are requested to proceed towards the closing ceremony of the International Civil Engineering Congress upstairs, because we will be receiving the participation certificates now. So don't go home. Something left. The Sunday is about to start very soon. This was not a Sunday till now. Thank you. So upstairs for the in the conference.
Video की recording IP की website पे available होगी.
And the conference recording videos is going to be available on
IP official website.
IP official website very soon. So if you missed something, you can catch up from there.
ये हमें यानी कि दूसरी भी वेबसाइट पे डालनी है.
वो embed करवा लूँगा मैं.